I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!
Good evening, everybody.
Whoa!
Howard D keeps trying to come in.
I know. Somebody get him out in the hallway.
Stepping all over my feet. Wow, everybody, this is Sunday.
Security,
please.
Yes, please, thank you.
Sunday evening, Brian Smith along with
Carrie Smith.
It's
January 25th. Don't forget to mention the date.
January 25th on iHeartRadio as well as iTunes.
Mm-hmm.
I was informed, I'm not a big iTunes guy, I just learned a little bit about it, but I was informed this week that we need to let all our listeners know that if you use iTunes, to go ahead and make sure that you like the songs or thumb it up or whatever iTunes does, because that gets our show to the top of the heat when people do searches.
Okay.
Which is, I mean, the same with.
Is there? Can you comment? I don't ever get on iTunes, but like, can you can thumb it up? Is what you're saying?
Something like that.
I know on iHeartRadio, because I listen to that all the time. If whatever the selection is you're listening to at the time, there's a thumb up and thumb down. You thumb up our stuff. I don't know what that does.
Right.
But just do it and see what happens.
Yeah, no, definitely. And you can also always find us on Facebook.com/Smyth Radio. And you can also go to YouTube. And our username is Smyth Radio. You can find us anywhere and everywhere.
Easy. Very easy.
All over the place. Let me tell you, folks, I know we say often to take your ADD medication before the show starts. Usually I would suggest 30 minutes before the show so that it kicks in. But today is one of those days where you're going to need it.
Well, and I'm going to help you out if you don't like the ADHD format. I could give a really brief summary of what we're going to talk about.
No, go ahead. And I will say this. Last week, we got a lot of comments that we veered but stayed on a steady course.
Good.
So whatever we did last week, we're going to do it again this week.
Which is go by the seat of our pants.
Just fly loose.
Well, we're going to talk about this Benjamin Netanyahu situation. He is the Israeli prime minister,
right?
Leader of Israel. We're going to talk about, of course, the State of the Union address. We'll also talk about the beheadings of the Japanese citizens by ISIS, which, man, it's starting to look a little repetitive.
Yeah, I mean, we did a show about it being fake, and now we've got other people listening to our show.
Must be getting it from us. We're the first ones that said, whoa, wait a minute.
Breaking news, and now we've got other folks jumping on our bandwagon.
Right, so we'll talk about that. Also, breaking news, Friday, the king of Saudi Arabia died.
King Abdullah.
Right, and there could be some big-time ramifications with regards to that. Plus also what's been going on with the oil situation in Texas because of the slashing of the gas prices, oil prices, and all that kind of stuff.
I thought you were going to say Tom Brady slashing people's tires.
Well,
or letting the air out. You get bad gas mileage.
Right. We're going to have falling tires. No, or balls, whatever.
Yeah, if your balls are deflated, Tom Brady might be nearby.
So we will definitely talk about Tom Brady. And Brian went ahead and we always do a movie review. That's starting to become a theme. Something we always do once. We always do a movie review. And, of course, this week is a big one because it's the new American Sniper movie.
Correct.
So,
which I saw. Did you mention that we were also going to talk about Glozell?
Well,
this lady.
Oh, she has got a viral sinus infection that has dripped down into the. It may be pneumonia.
The depths of her throat.
It might be all the way in the bottom of her lungs. I mean,
that's what it sounds like when you cough up a lung, and you will find out why she's gagging here a little bit later on in the show.
I think that Tom Brady might need to be employed to help breathe
air into her.
Right.
Because he's got plenty of it.
Yeah, well, you have excess air when you start with balls that are properly deflated or inflated, and then we lost 2 pounds of pressure from over 10 balls.
Yeah, and those were the 10 balls that were played during the game in which the Patriots won.
Interesting.
Amazing.
Well, we'll talk about that. So what do we start with? There's other things that we're talking about too, but that's what happens when you veer off course as much as we do.
Oh, wow. We can start with Benny. I like Benny.
Benjamin Netanyahu.
This is foreign affairs. Stay with us. This is really, really important. It's absolutely critical. There'll be some names that'll be thrown out, like usual, throughout the show. But the name to remember isn't as important as the story and the backstory of what's going on and how pathetic the president of America it really is.
Well, I got to give it up to Boehner. As sad as it is that we have him as a leader of, I don't know, the Republican Party.
Well, he's the Speaker of the House, and I don't. Yeah,
but we acknowledge that he is a really bad rhino. Which, for those of you that don't know, rhino is an acronym that means Republican in name only, and interestingly, what that really means is he's not a true conservative. Right. In fact, he may just flat out be totally liberal with a Republican label slapped on him.
Right.
Hence, Republican in name only.
About 2 weeks ago was a story that we weren't able to get to, but there's a newspaper that was breaking news on Boehner with it's like a two-faced thing. They were exposing Boehner as it looked like he was going against the White House and he was going against Obama, but really backdoor deals made it so that Obama was allowing him to save face with his party as long as he worked with Obama on the side, on the backdoor deals, which I don't put it past Boehner whatsoever.
Right. Well, the state of the United States in this point in history is a group of elite people that are elected into power who then all collude together. It doesn't matter if they're Democrat or Republican, unless they are a Tea Party person or what you would consider a true conservative. When you hear somebody being called a rhino, or if they're any member whatsoever of the Democrat Party, they are all in collusion to stack the deck in the form of laws so that you are subject to their authority at all times and forever. And that's the thing. They will create the country in a way where they will remain in power
for their entire life, and then just as one of the left-wing lunatics out in California, she's stepping down from her post, from her totem pole, because she's on the top of it, and she's working at getting somebody else that is with her or on her side, and that's what they'll do. And they'll get somebody up in there. They won't find just a qualified person out of 300 million Americans. You couldn't do that. You wind up getting somebody in there that will toe the party line, will do what they're supposed to do, and vote the way their party dictates they vote.
There you go.
So without getting too far off, Benjamin Netanyahu is the Prime Minister of Israel. And it's common that when a prime minister or a king or a queen or a head of state comes to America for a visit, it's common that either the White House be notified, the White House do the invite, the president involved on the invite. It's not mandatory, not by far, but apparently it's something that's been going on for a while. However, okay, before I get too far off track, John Boehner, Speaker of the House, invited Benjamin Netanyahu to speak to Congress 2 weeks before an election in Israel, Netanyahu's election, 2 weeks before his election, to speak in front of Congress bashing Obama's policies in the Middle East.
Okay.
And so the White House, the speaker, the boy speaker of the White House, Josh Ernst, he came out and he spoke about this, and he was none too happy. And this is what Josh and the White House had to say about what Boehner is doing.
With Prime Minister Netanyahu on a visit that apparently is scheduled for March. The reason for that is that Prime Minister Netanyahu's visit comes about 2 weeks before the Israeli elections. And this administration goes to great lengths to ensure that we don't give even the appearance of interfering or attempting to influence the outcome of a democratically held election in another country.
But they'll do it in our country.
Has certainly not allowed the disagreement over our Iran approach to in any way shake the commitment of the United States to the national security of Israel.
Okay.
Well, hold on. So I would agree with him if Boehner was going to Israel to speak 2 weeks before his election. But Benjamin Netanyahu coming to America to speak before his election, I don't think really satisfies that his claim of appearing to influence their election. Benjamin Netanyahu can do whatever he wants for his own election or not for his own election. That's up to him. And him coming to America, it's not like I don't think he asked to come, so maybe he may have a point. If we were inviting him like, hey, I see it's 2 weeks before your election, why don't you come on over here and speak?
Well, I heard earlier this week that Boehner invited him in February, and he said he couldn't make it. And so Boehner changed it, or he changed it, something on the change, and that might be...
So they could have went back and forth.
It may be, but here's the irony of what Josh just said. He said this administration makes it a point to not interfere with a democratic election.
Okay.
In another country.
Did he say in another country?
Right.
Meaning that he's leaving the door open to say, well, I never said that we don't interfere.
In this country.
Right. And by interfere, we mean it either immorally or illegally.
Right. Using the power, wielding the power of the IRS
or
the media.
I mean, how inappropriate is that? How is he not only, honestly, it's one thing to impeach a president for wrongdoing and in turn having him removed from office. That's one thing. I believe that what he has done, or his administration has done, requires that somebody, wherever the buck ends up stopping, because it could be Holder, or it could be somebody at that level.
Right.
It requires that somebody, wherever the buck ends up stopping, wherever the evidence points to, should be in prison behind bars.
Yeah.
Should be in jail for this.
Right. Whether it be Obama himself or
it
not.
It could be Obama.
I could care less.
Could be Holder, and it could be somebody at that level, or maybe even a step lower. That's fine, whatever. But it should be an example should be made. This is such an abuse of power. I can't even. And we talked about this in other episodes, but it's the kind of abuse of power that will go down in history as something that is just wow. People will look back and say, "I cannot believe that was happening in a country like America."
Right. Well, they'll look at it and say, "Well, I guess the conservatives, the heart of America, the majority of America, lost their party to the Democrats, that being the GOP." I mean, because if we truly had representation, the majority of America would be represented, and
we lost our republic.
These crimes, high crimes and treasonous things that are going on are just the pile is so high and it stinks. It's real smelly.
Yeah, and we may have lost our republic years and years ago, but the the evidence or the proof that it has been lost was when nobody did anything about the IRS scandal.
Right, and there's still something came up earlier this week saying that they're still going through the emails, and they may have found more emails that Lois Lerner had lost, and you're talking 50,000 emails and yada yada.
Maybe the buck stops with Lois Lerner.
Maybe
she goes to prison or whatever. I don't know.
Right.
But anyway.
So Netanyahu coming to America at this time is not really unprecedented. By the way,
it's not.
No. Apparently, during Obama's reign of terror, he's had multiple dignitaries, if you will, come to America. A month before an election, 2 months before an election. So
what he was saying.
It's not as close.
It's completely hypocritical, is what you're saying.
You tell me. 2 weeks or a month. Well, 2 weeks, 4 weeks. Or 8 weeks. Is there wiggle room on time? I mean, we're talking...
I would say if it's within 6 months, there could be the potential of an appearance of influencing another election.
Certainly within 2 months, I would think.
Oh, certainly. I mean, you think about, if you follow politics whatsoever, you know that things are getting really heated by about 6 months in. 2 months in, and it is just full go.
What do they call? Don't they call October surprise? They're waiting for.
That's a month.
So, but I mean, that's still the whole point. Is that they're anticipating a month before an election?
Yeah.
Oh, something surprising is going to come out.
Literally in September, they're talking about what's going to be the October surprise.
Right. So they're stretching it out 2 months.
Easily. And it's not them. I mean, people are starting to get excited about who's going to be the next blank elected. It could be whatever, senator, and
right.
Especially the leader of the whole country. In this case, would be Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel.
Right. And so there's also another precedent that was set. And this goes back a while. It goes back to Bill Clinton when Sharon was fighting a close campaign against challenger Benjamin Netanyahu. And so he came and visited Clinton at the White House on April 30th, a month out of their election. And needless to say, Netanyahu won.
Right.
And
so the main thing I thought about this whole story is that Boehner inviting... This isn't about whether or not it's an influence of his election and that Obama wouldn't want to invite him because of that appearance, or that there's something wrong with Boehner doing that because it could be a conflict of the elections in Israel. That's not what the big story is. The big story is that heads of state are supposed to be invited by the president.
Right.
And
they got upset.
Our
they got
legislative branch
got butthurt.
Said, you know what? Forget the executive branch. Forget the president. We're just going to go ahead and invite him. And by the way, the entire invitation process was completely withheld from the president whatsoever. It was a surprise to him that he was invited.
There was a clip I had. Probably don't have it anymore. However, it was said that John Kerry met with the ambassador to Israel a day before this announcement for 2 hours. And the administration said not one time did the ambassador bring it up to Kerry in the 2-hour meeting.
Completely, intentionally kept secret from the president.
I think it's hysterical.
Oh, I think, this is just great.
Not only that, but here's some of the statements, some of the headlines the administration is saying. The administration said there will be a price to pay.
Of course there will. That's called Chicago dead fish politics.
And they also said...
Somebody's going to wake up with a dead fish.
Right, in their bed.
Yeah.
Or a horse's head.
Horse's head, yeah.
Yeah, and then they also said, Netanyahu spat in our face.
Literally?
Apparently.
He literally
came...
He
He came here first. spat in their face, and then went back home and then said, "I'm coming back."
There you go.
So,
For those of you low information voters, we're just joking.
That's a ridiculous
We're
joke.
just
Yeah. Fox News, to me, has always seemed to be fair and not petty Annie about things. I don't know. I'm feeling. Apparently, Chris Wallace was on Shep Smith's show, and Shepard Smith is, if you don't know, is the one who wears the eyeliner.
He does?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
It's-
Is Shepard Smith, who is the Walter Cronkite, and I'm using air quotes here, of Fox News? Because they all have their main anchor. And I'm thinking, wasn't it Shep Smith taking over for the other guy who was there, the old
Snow?
guy? No, he was an old guy, real old guy. Snow was pretty young when he died.
Yeah.
Whoever it was. But I thought Shep Smith took over, which would kind of make it like he's not the commentator guy, I don't think. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, Shep Smith definitely leans
To the right.
Oh no, he's starting to sway.
Uh-oh.
Shep Smith is starting to lean.
I like his rants, though.
He can have some good ones, but there's times where he'll come out and I'm like, "Whoa, where are you going with this, bro?"
Really?
Yeah.
So he's starting to change because it never used to be like that.
No. Well, he had Chris Wallace on his show this week, and
Okay.
they were going back and forth about this.
Netanyahu.
Netanyahu and
Benny.
Benny, and this is what Chris Wallace. And I thought Chris Wallace was a conservative, and maybe he still is, but I don't. This was his personal opinion. It didn't seem like it was political. It just seemed like it was his opinion.
I happened to be at the White House on Wednesday when Boehner announced that he had invited and that Netanyahu had accepted this, and a top White House official was flabbergasted, said that we got no advance warning. We found out about it, them in the White House, when Boehner announced it to the press. And to make you get a sense of really how, forgive me, wicked this whole thing is, the Secretary of State, John Kerry, met with the Israeli ambassador to the United States for 2 hours on Tuesday. And Ron Dermer, the Israeli ambassador, according to the State Department, never mentioned the fact that Netanyahu was in negotiations and finally agreed to come to Washington, not to see the president, but to go to Capitol Hill, speak to a joint session of Congress, and criticize the president's policy. I have to say I'm shocked.
Oh, why is he shocked? I'm not shocked. Benjamin Netanyahu is...
I've lost a little bit for Chris Wallace on that, by the way.
Because he's shocked? I think
he said it's wicked.
He said, "Pardon me for saying this."
It's wicked. Let myself introduce my. Oh yeah, wicked.
He's well. I think that he couldn't come up with a better word in the
How is wicked not an all right? I don't.
Well, you're taking it as he doesn't agree with it.
Well, if you called something wicked...
Yeah, but I'm going to give him a pass because I'm thinking...
Wicked is like cheating, underhanded, conniving, dirty.
And it sounds like he feels like that's what they did to the president. And that's the way the president's men would, and women. I should say women no matter what.
With all due respect, you're a blank.
I'm trying to give him a pass here. I think that he is. He's saying that if I were the Democrats, but I'm not,
right,
I would think it was wicked. I'm stretching, Nate. I'm really stretching.
Well, here's something else that they were talking about, and this, I know this wasn't starred on your thing. We went through the files, and there are a lot of sound bites, a lot of things going on. But I wanted to bring this up because this is a tie-in to Israel. Right now, North Korea and Iran have partnered up, and this happened in 2012, that they announced that they are together as an axis of resistance, which only includes Iran, Syria, and Hezbollah. And so they're working together right now as we speak, developing nuclear weapons for one another and each other, and their goal is to obliterate and destroy Israel. Matter of fact, this week, they came out and there was a bombing. Israel bombed a general, and they killed a handful of folks during the bombing. And so now they're saying that we are going to wipe you off the face of the earth. This is going to be big.
And by you mean Israel.
Israel, right.
Okay.
And so what does this have to do with Obama and the whole wrapped up? This is all wrapped up neatly, folks. Obama, it is okay with Iran and North Korea because they both help and support ISIS, the Muslim Brotherhood, the Muslims. This all is one big thing.
It does appear. What was the story a couple of weeks ago? They said, has Islam infiltrated the White House? Is that? Oh no! Is the White House a sleeper cell? Is the White House a sleeper cell? Well, if you look at the way that they react to all this stuff, it's like if you were a terrorist organization,
right,
and you were trying to hide that from the public, it would sound a lot like the White House.
Right.
So I guess they maybe flip a coin, 50-50. They may be a sleeper cell.
Well, and if you ask me, you probably, and if you heard the show, you probably know where I'm going with it. I say they are. Well, apparently on a TV show that I know nobody watches, we don't even watch. I just, like we said before, we just find the clips. But it's, I don't even know what the real name, what is it? We call it Slay the Nation on CNN. It's...
Face the Nation.
Face the Nation. I don't even know what the real name
Face
of
the
the
Nation.
show is.
Right.
So, Face the Nation, and Major Garrett was sitting in, and he asked a woman, her name is Robin Wright from the Wilson Center. I'm just going to give you a heads up. She's a lib. And he asked her this question. He said, Iran is a significant player in all our geopolitical conversations. It is against ISIS, though. Yep, I messed that up. Iran isn't against ISIS, though, but we don't even acknowledge that. But they are there. They're there in the Middle East with ISIS, working on nuclear arms agreements. What are the prospects for that, and how do you think the Iran will factor into all of the foreign policy conversations of the new year? And so this is what she said.
For the first time in 35 years, Iran and the United States are on the same page.
Okay, I don't even get... She said America and Iran are on the same page.
What page is that? 32? They're on page 32 in the Quran.
Is that okay, here's 11 more seconds of her, and we will be completely done with her.
The same time. And I think both countries really do want a deal. The question has always been whether the conservative ayatollahs in Iran could buy into a deal with the United States.
It's amazing how they call it the conservative ayatollahs, the Ayatollah Khomeini. I don't... Anyways, that's for another discussion.
Maybe they mean conservative in a different sense of politically conservative. But, like...
because they won't. They don't do deals, and it's like when playing cards. If you play conservative and you don't put a lot of money out, you don't bet high.
Right, that would be conservative.
So they're very conservative on making deals.
Yeah, that's what
she means.
Yeah, yeah, it has multiple meanings.
So I don't know how the Muslims, ISIS, and Iran and North Korea. I know she didn't say North Korea, but I'm lumping all that as because they are the axis of resistance. They're tied together now. How is America on the same page?
I almost think, a lot of these liberals use buzzwords.
Okay.
And I think same page is a buzzword she wanted to use.
She gets a handbook, a list. Once you get into the club...
Of buzzwords?
Of the Democrat club.
Yeah.
They give you a handbook.
Oh, right.
On buzzwords.
It's talking points and buzzwords. So what they do is you have an idea that they want to get across. It's part of their narrative.
Right.
And what you do is you lace the narrative with buzzwords.
Okay.
And make it unintelligible.
Oh.
and then you have no choice but to say, if I don't act like I understand what they're saying, they're gonna think I'm stupid. So I'm just gonna act like I understand what they're saying.
Oh,
that's how that works.
Oh, okay.
That's how that works.
So she had no idea what to say. So she threw a buzzword out and just rolled.
It was narrative laced with buzzwords.
Okay.
And so,
because it's funny because Major Garrett asked the question, it's saying that Iran is in the Middle East with ISIS, yet we're not talking about it. And then she says, Iran and America, we're on the same page.
Yeah, obviously, she has
wasn't
no
listening
idea.
to it, or she wouldn't listen to the question.
Well, no, you don't. What was it? Who said?
Yep, you're right.
You don't answer the question that they ask you.
Correct.
You answer the question you wish they asked you. That was Robert McNamara.
And that is exactly what she just did.
Yes.
She answered the question
that she wanted to be asked.
Right.
But she didn't. You don't answer any questions, really.
No.
You just throw out talking point narrative laced with buzzwords.
Right. And there was a guy on the set with her. His name's David Rowe. He's with Reuters. If you don't know, Reuters is a news outlet, and it's media. It's worldwide media. So
Reuters is like I would say would be a competitor of AP.
AP, right.
But they're both saying the same thing. They may get their news from each other.
Right, and if you live in New York and you're listening, you probably think that the New York Times issues all these out because it seems like
they just use their... Yeah. It all starts with New York Times because that's the center of the universe.
Right.
And if you don't believe me, watch when a news story happens in New York, they report it as if the entire world is experiencing this. And us outside of New York, we're like, we don't care about what's happening in Manhattan.
Right.
Stop it,
And honestly, it is amazing the buzzword that will come out and be attached to that story, and all the talking heads all the way across the country, all the way to the LA Times, will use that buzzword when reporting on that story.
Right.
Yes.
You'll see the same language, and you're like, where have I heard that before? And then you realize it's all incestuous.
Yes,
it is. It is.
That's a good term.
Yes, and I borrowed that from Rush. Actually, he calls it incestuous
because they're all in bed together, and they're
all. It's like an echo chamber. It's a mess. I mean, no originality comes out of any of it. It's just. Yeah,
it's funny. I'm going to play this guy, David, and I'm telling you, he's sitting right next to the Robin. They're sitting right next to each other. They both heard the same question, and this is what he said.
This is a huge issue for the Obama administration in 2015, if they can get this Iran deal or not. If they fail, it's a very dangerous situation. Iran has helped push rebels there to take large parts of Yemen. That's unstable. They've got, very large influence in Lebanon. And, I talked to a senior State Department official, and they said, the Iranians are positioned to create havoc in many places, including for U.S. forces in Iraq. So watch this spring for whether this deal happens or not. It's a huge issue for the administration.
But we're on the same page.
I'm glad they're on the same page. What is that?
Did you hear what... I mean, this guy, you've got to consider the source. He's probably middle of the road, if not left. And, he's painting a really dark picture of Iran and what could and couldn't happen, and the fact that that they are dealing with nuclear weapons, and they're working together with North Korea, Kim Jong-un. I mean, all these things are just, I don't know, it's becoming a hot box over there.
So I'm rereading this, and I'm wondering if by same page she means with regards to ISIS, because Iran wouldn't want ISIS to take over. They want to keep their own dictatorship in place. So, and of course, the White House policy or American policy is that we don't want to see ISIS spread. No. So maybe the deal is that they're just going to agree and be on the same page that we want to stamp out ISIS, or at least
I think
keep it
Iran.
from
I think
spreading.
Iran might want to control them more so, like give them their own state, but don't come over here.
Oh, I could see that.
And
Like, just, hey-
America wants to get rid of them altogether. Or
Well, not really.
No, yeah, I'm sorry.
Maybe conservatives. But
Yeah, I was.
wow, you started kind of slipping into the.
I just thought it was my own personal because
It's almost
the
as
people
if we
I
sent
listen
you
to.
to Washington for a couple months or something. And you just all of a sudden you're at these cocktail parties and
Hey, you gotta say
you
this.
rubbing elbows with
gotta
the
say this.
senators. And,
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my goodness, I could see that.
That was the story. Iran threatened to attack Israel from the West Bank in retaliation.
Oh, so the same pages that they both Iran and Obama wanted to
Destroy
wipe
Israel.
off the map. Of course, they're on the
got it.
same page.
And
And Robin Wright pointed out that they're on the same page. She tipped her hand a little bit, showed the cards,
right.
but she tried to make it unintelligible. And we, by the way, for those of you who do not know the definition of the word gobbledygook, you need to look that up because that is what the liberals are very good at.
Right. There's no question about it. And so on Sunday, Israel,
Today or last Sunday?
I think it was last Sunday,
Oh, okay.
Israel killed 12 Iranians and Hezbollah operatives, which is a good thing because they're bad people. The airstrike has been attributed to Israel, and though Jerusalem has not officially confirmed it, anonymous government sources have admitted as much. A report last Friday said the strike targeted the leaders of a substantial new Hezbollah terror hierarchy that was set to attempt kidnappings, rocket attacks, and other assaults on military civilians in Israel.
Oh.
So why wouldn't you if they're threatening to kidnap, rocket attacks, and military civilians?
And civilian targets.
How do you not attack them?
Well, I mean, you at least got to tell them, look, you better not do that stuff. But that's what they're threatening. And you just have to have somebody. I mean, when you have a president of the United States who's kind of wink, wink, nod, nod.
Right.
You know, if you guys want to wipe them off the face of the map, hey, make them. You'll be fulfilling our fantasy.
But not only that, but there are in the administration's mind, the majority of the world doesn't want Israel around anymore. I mean, that's what they would like to be able to come out and say verbally, but they're holding off on that.
And here's
one.
the thing. Israel is just an idea with physical borders. It's just a place where Jews are, right?
Right.
But so by saying we want to wipe Israel off the map, that's just a physical place. But what they're really saying is we want to exterminate all Jews.
All Jews.
Everywhere in the world.
And we want to exterminate the democracy that they have in place. And we want to destroy and remove the capitalist system they have in place. We've got to get rid of that because we want none of that here in the Middle East.
Right, and that's what they start. Okay, now that it's gone from the Middle East, because let's say, boom, we wiped the Jews off the map in the Middle East. We wiped the democracy, and we wiped off the all of that in the Middle East. What do you think they say next? Wow. Well, we got more of this. We got
to go to the four corners of the earth.
Yes, and that's where it
find
spreads.
them and pick them out.
Right, and as long as they don't attack Russia in wintertime, they're going to succeed.
Yeah, and that's something that that we haven't talked about much, but little things like that in history come up. If you ever decide to attack Russia, history has shown, if you do it in wintertime, you will always...
Not only are you going to fail there, but the whole thing's going to come collapsing down on you.
Yeah.
Ask Napoleon and Hitler.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Defeated both of them very quick.
If you're dumb enough to go right after Russia, at least be smart enough to wait until you're going into the warmer months.
Right.
Yes.
It's going to warm up. Not a rainy season either. Trucks will get stuck in the mud. It'd be nasty.
They don't
Just
have
messy.
paved roads. Of
course
they have
not.
no
Of course
paved
not.
roads. Wow. Okay.
Woo! I just
So there
Just
was
cracked
a
on Russia.
speech. I think the president decided to get out onto a podium this week.
yes.
Something called State of the Union or something.
Yes, there was a State of the Union address this week.
We should address
And-
it.
okay,
I know
I-
it's annoying.
I've got
I actually watched it live,
okay.
and while I watched it, I quickly typed my reaction to the things that he was saying. And so, do you want to hear some of it?
Yes, go ahead.
I
Now,
just-
I'm just queuing.
I
thing.
didn't process this or anything. All I did was type it in and then save it, and then I didn't do any further processing. So I'm just gonna and honestly, I haven't even looked at it since then. So this will be interesting to go through again. Right off the bat, he blamed the recession on 2 wars. He just said 2 ill-advised wars, and that's why we were in a recession.
Okay, so he pulls out of Iraq, and then sees that Iraq is completely collapsing right now,
Yeah.
and sends troops back to Iraq. Okay, that's
Right.
Yeah.
But he didn't point out any of the other things that could have led to a recession.
Okay.
But he just said he literally is trying to get the low information voters to believe that once you start funneling money out of America into a foreign country that were in order to wage war, that causes a recession, which
Okay.
is just ridiculous.
I don't
Totally
know.
ridiculous.
Well, he could stop sending the billions of dollars to other countries that we send.
I mean,
for
we were
aid.
in a Great Depression. We go to World War II. The Depression did not get worse, and then after the war was over, we were more prosperous than any other time in human history.
I don't know.
Just
I'm
saying.
going to have to check with Obama on that one. I
Yeah.
don't know if he believes that.
It was just laced with so many lies. I started losing track, but he said the economy's growing faster than in 1999. That's ridiculous. I was 24 years old in 1999. I know you can't even imagine.
Right.
Remember the commercial of the kids going into the high rise and saying to this old executive, the executive asked them, "Well, can you guys make a website?"
Yes.
And they were like, they looked at each other and they said, "Yeah, we can make a website." And they were like, "How can we not invest in these people?" And people were being given millions and millions of dollars to put together a 3-page HTML website.
That I could do for $20 on GoDaddy.
Well, and they were happy to do it. They had the money to do it.
Right.
The companies, I mean.
Right. And it's the .com boom.
Oh.
I don't know.
If you are too young to know, it was unbelievable.
Well, it just something I realized this week when Obama went before he was elected, in his early years when he was elected, I was spending about $100 a week on groceries. It started creeping up a little. I am now currently steadily at 150 to 160 a week
That's rough.
on
A week?
groceries. A week on groceries.
Ouch.
So I don't know where the economic boom is. They say that the government is actually hiring more people, and there's a boom in government employment.
But government doesn't produce anything.
Well, according to Nancy Pelosi, every time you get a government job or
Well,
unemployment,
think of it this way.
the
They're talking
economy
about
goes up.
everybody needs a piece of the pie, right?
Right.
And the liberals would want you to believe there's one single pie. And so we got to figure out how to divide this up
Who
among
gets the slices?
300 million people. And how big are the slices? I think they should all be the same size, right?
Right.
What they don't point out is that when people go to work in the private sector, they are baking more pies for more slices to go around. The government doesn't bake pies.
No.
They never do.
They steal the pies.
They steal the pies under the threat of jailing you if you don't give them up.
Mm-hmm.
And then they eat 3/4 of it and then take the last quarter and say, how can we divide this up among the people who we can get the most votes from? That is exactly what they do.
Democrat Dianne Feinstein this week out in California she is involved in a government project, approving the government project that her husband and other family members are involved with and stand to make billions.
And what did we open up with? That the government with the rhinos are all in collusion with each other and their families to enrich and empower themselves at the expense of the citizens.
Oh, it's like instead of having a queen and like in England, the king and the queen, instead of having that, we have all these little kings and queens all and Washington D.C. on Capitol Hill.
It's a giant board of directors. That's what it is. It's a giant board of directors, and they're all that make their own rules and laws for themselves.
Right.
And they try to engineer a society where the little people who are not a part of that elite leadership, it's funneling power to them. Right. But anyway.
To plainly put it, you all heard about Martha Stewart, and it was insider trading, yada, 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 and she went to jail.
She went to prison.
Low information folks know these things because she's a real popular woman. Well, what she did is legal for politicians to do.
In other words, if a politician did exactly what Martha Stewart did, which, by the way, they do every single day.
Dianne Feinstein's doing
it right
now.
They don't get charged with anything.
No.
Because they are allowed. And us little folk that aren't part of the ruling elite are not allowed to do that.
Right.
So anyway. All right, next thing, he says more people are insured now.
So I heard somebody say that.
It was one of his opening
They
paragraphs.
said they met their quota of 10 million people.
They are just completely telling you, yes, we did. It's like when my wife comes home, or no, she's on her way home, and she gets on the phone and she says, "Did you do the dishes?" Because we're gonna come home and make dinner. All the dishes need to be washed, and they're not at all. And what do I say? Yes, they're totally washed. Now that's predicated on the fact that they will be washed before she gets home.
Because the time if she stepped in the front door at that time.
Right. But now, to complete the analogy, what the government does is they tell you they wash the dishes, but they're actually making more dirty dishes while they're telling you this.
And they're not going to clean it up.
No. No, they're hoping that they don't run out of dishes before they die.
And there's something that I've coined that we've coined that Carrie and I know. There's a little inside story to it, but I call it the Dickey effect. It's fakeness behind the scenes of a website. And if you set up a Facebook website, you can go out and buy one. They're real cheap, a Facebook-like website, and you can put fake members and create fake profiles to make it look like there's a lot of people there.
Okay.
And there's so many pictures on the internet, you could fake thousands if you had the time. And so that's what they've done.
Oh, I'm sure.
With Obamacare's website.
They probably hired those same companies to make fake people and said, look what we're doing.
And the girl, I don't know her name offhand, that Obama pointed to that was sitting next to his wife.
Oh, yeah.
He said, and look, she's a shining example.
And she's completely fake.
Well, she's a paid Democrat operative.
Yeah, for those of you listening, if you watch the State of the Union address, the woman that they pointed out as being this American hero who's just a citizen who wrote into 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C. and said, look at these struggles. She is an employee of the Democrat Party. She's completely fake.
And
completely.
how that goes by...
I'll tell you what it was. It's the dog ate my homework. It's due... Homework's due... Here, State of Union's coming up. And all of a sudden, somebody, one of Obama's friends, buddies, who was kind of just talking to him in a golf outing, said, so do you have the token... citizen that you could talk about and look like a
And Obama's like, no, I don't. He's like, no, you need to have a person there.
No, really? Oh, you're right. I didn't think of it.
For the health care, it's improved her life, and she's back on track. She is on track. It's got to be a woman because single women who don't have a man to help them.
No, he talked about how her husband is in construction. But he was not there, which now that we know that she is completely fake, it makes sense why he wasn't there.
Because he wasn't real.
No, he's real. I'm not going to accuse him. I'm not going to accuse him of saying that the husband was fake and that story was fake or a lie. What I'm saying is this all had to be thrown together so last minute they couldn't even get him in time. He couldn't even get off of work.
Right,
He was like, dude, I'm already scheduled. They make the schedule a week in advance. How am I going? I can't just take off work now to be
running the show here.
To be at Congress.
It's not possible. Well, I was going to go down the road though that the government looks at women, the Obama administration looks at women as the government is their sugar daddy.
That's their daddy.
Right.
Or they're the breadwinner.
You don't need a man.
Because they will provide for you.
Right. You don't need a man for that.
Right.
And you have kids, do whatever you want to do. And
there will be people who listen to this that accuse us of sexism. Because why couldn't the woman go out there and be the breadwinner?
If my wife could go out and make $100,000 a year, not even that much. If she could go out and make $60,000 a year, I would have no problem being a stay-at-home dad and teaching my kids.
And there are women out there that can do that and go out and make $60,000 a year.
However, the sexist comes into play when it's the administration because they're sexist towards women.
Right. Okay, so next one. He said we're free from the grip of oil. And I said, whoa. We're free from the grip of oil. He's talking about how the price of gasoline dropped down below $2 a gallon. That happened despite the government.
Right.
And he was trying to take credit for it right there.
And the irony of all of this is that the short memory span of he could say all this stuff, and the memory span is so short, it won't matter because State of the Union was on Tuesday, and we threw this out there, and we'll get to that story later. On Friday, the king died. The oil king died, and now there's a vacuum.
Yeah, that could be an issue.
Sure. He's such a moron.
Right. Well, okay, real quickly.
Sorry.
The government, Obama specifically, wanted gasoline prices to necessarily skyrocket.
Okay.
Is the quote he used. That's what he wanted in order to make the expensive green energy seem like a better idea, which would be solar power, windmill powered cars.
They have government had given a company billions of dollars in loans and tax-free loans to create the first ocean farm of windmills out in Puget Sound. Now that Ted Kennedy's dead, because Ted Kennedy wouldn't let it go through because that's where he liked to sail his boat.
He didn't want to obscure his beautiful ocean view.
Yeah, when he's out there boating in the yachts.
In the yachts, right.
With the rich folks. So now they were going to have it go through, but so sorry. Two of the major electric companies that were going to buy the electric made up 71% of the buying power. And they backed out this week.
Oh, this week?
Yeah, they said we don't think this is going to work.
No, of course it's not going to work. It just feels good. We'll just go back to the old Dutch times and have the old rickety windmills.
Well, if the Dutch windmills work, then why the hell did we get rid of them?
Why are we? What's with this coal and oil? Why did we go to that? So anyway, he wanted the gasoline prices to skyrocket because he believes, and a lot of other idiots believe, that it's causing global warming. He doesn't believe it. He's just trying to get you to believe it because that will be his vehicle to give him all the power of the world.
Right, because once the majority of the people believe global warming is real,
and that man is causing it.
Right, they will then put a major tax on you to cure the world.
Well, there'll be regulations that will be pretty much confine you to be able to do nothing, and that and it's just another way to funnel all the money and power to the leaders, which America's trying to be under the progressives in charge.
Well, and
so
these progressives see global warming as an absolute vehicle to crush everything that has made us so successful.
there you go. I mean, that pretty much sums it up right there. But so gas prices, he wanted to go up.
Right.
What happened was that when the oil prices got so high, fracking became a very, very viable and lucrative thing in America, and the government had nothing to do with that.
No.
Private people, private companies were like, let's start doing this. And
it's called capitalism.
Yeah, capitalism came in and started getting all this natural gas and oil from fracking, and all of a sudden, it looked like America was going to be a leader in energy production.
Right. Well, they were saying that they've discovered that America has more the gas, natural gas, and all this from fracking than all the Middle East.
Yeah, right.
It
that
is
was the story.
huge. And so, what did Middle East
Saudi,
do?
Well, Saudi Arabia has the ability to get the fuel cheaper than us because fracking is expensive to get.
And it hasn't been taken out of the ground yet. In Saudi Arabia, they've got it stored.
They've got it, yeah.
Yeah.
So they have the ability to, all they have to do is flood the market with oil, and supply and demand will cause the price of oil to drop. And they did this in order to put all the fracking in America out of business.
Shut it down.
Which
Right.
we have breaking news about what's going on with that.
Right.
So anyway, so that's why gas is so cheap right now. Capitalism kicked in, and all of the work that was being done to extract all this oil in America was a threat to the Middle Eastern oil companies.
Well, when you say oil companies, you really mean oil families.
Yeah, oil families, which are also the ruling class.
Right. They own everything.
Yeah,
Right.
that's all how the monarchies work over there. So, and the dictatorships.
I mean,
whatever.
they have Lamborghinis for taxi cabs. You know, it's just
the bodies are made out of 24 karat solid gold, like literally.
Yeah.
So anyway, so they said, well, how about this? We'll take the hit for a while. We'll flood the market to cause the oil prices to collapse. That will put the American oil fracking out of business. We'll do it long enough to completely annihilate that. As soon as it's completely gone, then we'll jack it all back up again. And it may take a couple of years.
Right.
But actually, there is a company that is a big company that's out of business, right? Or they're laying off. I'm sorry, they're laying off people in Texas.
Yeah, one of the largest. Let me pull it up right here. One of the largest companies in America. Here it is, right here. The world. Oh, sorry, not in America. In the world, one of the largest companies in the world, servicing company, is Schlumberger Ltd. Announced on January 15th it'll be cutting 9,000 jobs. It'll be the largest of the oil field jobs lost. But even ancillary companies and workers are still going to feel the hit. U.S. Steel announced they're laying off 3% of American workers because of falling oil prices. That's 128,000 jobs directly tied to oil. Oil stocks have been propped up by the fakeness of everything going on. The American economy is going to feel a massive crunch in that sense. Domestic oil producers are facing enormous debt and continuing to pump, though, just to break even or even at a small loss, just to stay in business so they can make their payments. But it's not an indefinite strategy. The banks are going to feel that pinch
because
the oil companies aren't really going to be able to make their payments that they need to make because they don't make the money.
And they've been hiring like mad out in
North Dakota.
That and Texas. So all these people, they're hiring people from all over the country were filtering into North Dakota and Texas in order to get these really high-paying jobs. I mean,
they said
astronomical.
Right.
Astronomical.
They were saying in North Dakota, you could go there and be a cleanup man and earn $40,000 to $50,000 a year. Being a
that's
cleanup
you're
guy.
like sweeping the floors.
Right.
But if you're doing anything that requires any skill whatsoever, you're well over $100,000 a year.
And they were telling people, they said, we don't have any housing. There was zero. All the hotels were full. All the houses were full. There were no housing at all.
So there a small little housing boom started, right?
Right. And people started showing up with RVs. And said, here, I'll take a job.
So if houses are being built, then banks are giving out home loans.
Home loans, yep.
And then these people are moving in and starting families, and now they're going to slash almost all those jobs.
It's on speculation. The banks give you the money, speculating you're going to pay them back.
Mm-hmm, right.
However, if everybody loses their job, ain't nobody paying nobody.
And because of the remoteness of those areas, those people were only there to frack.
Have you ever heard of the ghost towns? The mining ghost towns?
Yeah, the gold towns back in the middle of the nowhere.
Right. Well, Tombstone, Arizona.
Yeah, complete.
I mean,
there's like these random ghost towns in the middle of the desert out there, and they're still there, preserved.
Right.
There's going to be some ghost towns in Texas and North Dakota for sure, and the banks are going to have to eat that loss.
Right. Financed homes, financed cars.
Mm-hmm,
I mean, if I moved there into a cheap economical situation, meaning food's inexpensive, housing's inexpensive, and I'm making $100,000.
You're probably going to buy a nice car.
I'm going to trade in my Ford, and I probably buy a brand new truck.
The aluminum Ford.
Yes,
Ford has a new aluminum
body.
Yes. Well, and they did that for because gas was so high. So it's got higher fuel economy because the whole body, instead of being made out of steel, which is very heavy, the whole entire aluminum body, so much lighter, so much better fuel economy.
Right.
And you would have bought that. It probably would have been very expensive. I didn't look at the price of that new. I think it's the 2015 Ford F-150. It's got the aluminum body.
Right. So a friend of ours on Facebook, he calls himself Douglas Blakeney.
I highly recommend following him. He's only got 35 followers.
Maybe people request to follow him, and he won't accept it.
I don't think you don't have to accept following. A friend request.
Friend request.
A friend. If you ask to be somebody's friend on Facebook, they have to accept.
Right.
But just like on Twitter,
you can follow anybody.
Yeah, you can follow anybody. You can follow people on Facebook.
I feel like a monkey.
I know. so
this is what
why you got to be racist?
I'm a monkey.
You're not allowed to say that on the radio. You're just not allowed to say
the
that.
monkey that has the white hair with the gray.
Now you're really being racist.
Yeah,
That's called a Yeti.
Yeah. Oh, the infamous Yeti.
The Yeti. Anyway, so go ahead.
So he posted all this information on Facebook. Thank you so much. And here's his personal statement, his personal quote at the end of it. He says, "The worst is yet to come. I'm going out on a limb, and I'm going to say that the Schlumberger layoffs won't be the worst of it. There'll be larger giants falling from this oil glut. For the American consumer, I think the worst is going to come whenever the Saudi accomplish their plans and then resume a strategy of constraining the oil. Our nation could barely handle $4 a gallon. I'm not sure what would happen if it reaches $6 or more."
Listen, but I got good news. First of all, they have to do this long enough to completely decimate this new stuff going on in Texas and North Dakota. The whole time this is going on, the entire country gets to enjoy the benefit of $1.88 gas.
Right.
And that's going to be a boom to every other industry. Think of the shipping costs are going to go down for everybody. People will probably start traveling more.
Right.
Airline tickets will probably go down because they won't have to.
I'll personally dump more money in crude oil.
Well, yeah, there you go.
Because it's going to go back up through the roof.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine?
I am imagining right now.
$40 a gallon, barrel oil.
I think it was 47. It's closed on Friday.
And you know it's going to go back over 100.
That's what it was before.
Yeah, easy, definitely. If they're thinking it's going to be over $4 a gallon, or even close to $4 a gallon, you're looking at 100 to 120 to maybe even. Remember, it peaked at like 140 at at one point.
Sick.
140.
That's sick.
I mean, people are going to probably think, well, I guess it's a good time at $47 to $50 a barrel.
Jump in.
Go ahead and start buying oil. But anyway, so what we're talking about here is a very acute depression in these oil towns in a couple of cities, remote areas. A couple of banks are going to really swallow some big losses because of maybe a couple banks, maybe smaller banks, financed a whole ghost town for the most part.
Well, I mean, they're going to wind up asking the government to help them bail them out.
And here's the thing: if they try to succeed with this plan and ramp up, reduce their production of oil, Saudi Arabia, in order to ramp the price of oil back up after all these places fail, it's going to cause somebody else to come in and start fracking again.
Don't you ever think that in a society we live in, you can kill capitalism.
No.
You can't possibly.
It's going to take government intervention. You know what it's going to take?
Yes.
It's going to take the government to come in and say, number one, we have to bail these people out in Texas and North Dakota.
Right.
And number two, we need to introduce legislation to make sure this never happens again. And you know what? We'll be having $6 a gallon gas after that. Forever. We'll never be able to combat Saudi gouging with capitalism.
Right. Because the government's in the way. And if you think the government has ever done anything right or good, please call in, let me know. I don't know what it is.
I don't know. I can't really think of anything.
Especially in the last 6 years.
And here's the thing. If you can think of something that you believe is something good that the government did long term, I can probably point out where you're wrong.
Right. Other than, I mean, and they love, libs and progressives love to go, well, what about the wars? Get sidetracked. Get away from the wars, because I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about us winning. When we used to win wars, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about economic things the government has done correctly or good. The winners, the losers, the ones Obama picked, they've all been losers.
Yeah, definitely. Back to the State of the Union, he was making the case for socialism. We all know that socialism leads to communism. That is not my words. That is the words of Marxist websites throughout the internet. They push for the socialist policies because they will flat out say right to you, this is what we know leads to communism. So when I say that, don't think I'm just throwing out random thoughts of propaganda against communism. I'm just telling you what they're telling me.
Right.
All right. So he was attacking the right, suggesting that we are warmongers, which I didn't like, and point that out. He said, quote, rebuilding our economy on a new foundation, unquote. When you hear rebuilding our economy on a new foundation, that is a communist dog whistle. That's what we call a dog whistle comment.
Because the foundation that America was built on is the Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights. That's the foundation we base everything off of. And he's saying we need a new foundation, which would be the Communist Manifesto.
Right.
Would be
Marxism.
Would be the new foundation that they would implement.
Right. And if you want to go even further into it, our foundation starts with the Enlightenment. If you ever look the John Locke and all that kind of stuff.
Enlightenment era.
Yeah, their ideas led to the founding of America, and that's our foundation. So what else did he say? He lied about why gas is cheaper. I didn't put any quotes in there, but I pointed out that he did that. He lied about 10 million new health care covered people. That is a complete fabric. He's just throwing.
He said before the speech, he said, so what number? What's the number? And they said, just throw anything out.
10 million sounds good.
Just get in the millions.
Then I wrote, wow, he is doing full auto lying here. That means he was spouting out sentence after sentence. That was just so I just said, you know what? And I just typed that. So then I put, quote, taking away their health care insurance. That's how Obamacare will last until America falls. They will say, whenever we combat Obamacare, they're going to say that we are taking away your health care. Because I've heard people say, don't mess with my Social Security.
Right.
They're taking away my Social Security. That's how they get you. That's how Social Security is going to last forever. And I can tell you there are better solutions to dealing with elderly poverty.
Private savings accounts,
IRAs,
and the
401ks
would also help to support the economy in turn.
Exactly. Instead, we get this ridiculous slush fund we call Social Security. And for all you old folks out there who either A, about to go on Social Security, or B, are surviving on Social Security.
Right.
Let me tell you something. You are in poverty.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason you're in poverty is because you bought into this crap, this slush fund for the communists in Washington called Social Security.
Right.
You paid into it, and now they're giving you scraps in return.
Right.
If you had been putting that money in investments for your whole life, and it could have been compulsory. It could have been said, okay, we have this new law now. X amount of percentage of your income is going to be put in a 401k
Right.
or IRAs or mutual funds that you can't touch until you're 65 and a half. You have full control of that. You can't touch it, just like Social Security.
No.
And then you'll be rich when you retire. I mean, that's how it works.
Exactly.
I mean, my dad's living it right now.
There's no question. But if you depend on somebody else to provide for you, you will feel pain because they won't do what you want them to. It never works like that. Nobody cares more about you and your money than you do and your money. And if you don't know what to do with your money, you need to educate yourself on what to do with your money. That's personal responsibility. Simple as that.
Yeah. And so next thing he said is, we're going to lower taxes on the working class. And I'm like, wait, what? Isn't that what the right's been saying all along? What is he talking about, lowering taxes on the working class?
Well, that's a sleight of hand because they're going to raise taxes on the rich. And they're calling this out this week.
But they're raising taxes on the poor through cigarette taxes and Obamacare.
Apparently people are dying because of the cigarette taxes in their black market underground for cigarettes.
Yeah, I mean, now cops are killing people on the street for exercising their right to capitalism. Anyway, so the way he was talking about child care being like how all these single mothers that we're supporting now, what by we mean government,
right?
That he just was going into this tirade about child care, and I was like, he's talking about government child care,
right?
So I'm like, let's let people raise their own children.
Well, not only that, but that's what the Pilgrims came to America for. Was to be able to raise their own family and pray to their God, the Christians.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all they wanted to do was to get away from dictators, tyrants, tyranny, kings and queens, and potentates. They wanted to get away from all that, and those people over there. They saw what we did over here and how good it was. They got jealous again, envious again, and started infiltrating America with communists over 100 years ago because they couldn't handle it.
And flat out. Next thing, more communism, paid sick leave. Now, when I first heard this, I thought
paid sick leave.
Yeah, so my first thought was okay, so he's going to institute regulations on all companies saying that you should allow people to have sick days and get paid for it. But then I realized when he went further into it, he was talking about if your child gets sick, you should be allowed to take off of work, get paid for that day to take care of your sick child at home. And I'm sitting here thinking, whoa, wait a minute.
What?
When I was a child, and I'm talking 7, 8 years old, when I got sick, my parents left me at home and went to work.
Yeah.
And they would call in several times a day to check in on me, how you feeling? And I remember just going running to the refrigerator. And we didn't have anybody home. No, we didn't have a babysitter. I mean, we were sick. We stayed at home in bed. A couple phone calls during the day from the parents while they were at work, and that was it.
Yeah, that is absolute insanity. Absolute insanity for the government to dictate to capitalist businesses.
If you have 6 kids, let's say you have 6 kids, anytime any one of those kids gets sick, the government is going to force these companies to pay you for a full day to sit at home to take care of these sick kids.
And as soon as one of them is sick, and gets cured or gets healthy again.
They pass it around.
Then
You
the
could be
next
off
one
a
will get
week.
sick. Yeah, you
You could
could
be
be
off
off for months.
Months.
That's a
If you
year.
have enough kids, it could go full circle,
So have 12 kids,
which is
and the kids get
Possible.
sick 4 times a year. 4 times 12, it's 48. That's a lot of sickness.
but they keep on passing it back around to each other.
Right.
I couldn't believe it. And women get paid less than a man. Oh, okay. So they was talking about women, equal pay and all that kind of stuff, and
Somebody's under fire this week because they hire only women.
oh, that's so.
And like
sexist.
it's like a department store. I'll come up with a story, but yeah, they are under fire because no men work there.
Well, what about Hooters? They got in big trouble because a guy came and said
Threw it out of court.
they threw it out.
Yep,
Oh,
threw it
yeah.
out because the guy wanted to be a Hooters girl.
Right. He's like, "Hey, that's sexist." I thought he got a big settlement. He didn't.
No,
I thought he got a big settlement.
No, they
So where's the
threw
producer? Producer, look that up.
Look that up.
Through the
Threw
window.
that out. No, I remember following that. That was back in the day.
Yeah, that was a couple years ago. Here's the thing.
15, maybe 15.
15. Yeah, it was a while ago. So Rush Limbaugh points out several times over the past couple of years that if women who get paid less do the same work or better work than their male counterparts, then a capitalist system with smart business owners would just hire all women.
Why would you not?
They would save money, and they would get the same work done.
Oh, of course.
They could pay them less, they get the same work done, and it would be a positive for their bottom line. Why would they overpay for male labor? Why would they do that?
So Hooters was they wouldn't. Hooters this guy Gruskowski was suing on behalf of all males across the country who applied for the position
This was
of a waiter at Hooters and was denied.
because he was a man.
Right, a confidential settlement. But I didn't get a piece of that.
Yeah, I'm a man. Wait a minute.
How does he get paid on behalf of all men?
Where's my check?
What's it? Come on,
It probably would have been 38 cents, but I mean, if you divide it, if there's 300 million people in America. Was it worldwide or just in America?
Oh, just in America.
All men in the world.
Hey, you know, Hooters tried to start an airlines back in the Hooters Airlines,
Okay.
and all the stewardess on the airplane would be big, busted Hooter girls dressed scantily.
Okay.
They actually took off. They had one plane.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so it went out of business?
Yeah,
or-
it didn't work. They didn't go over so well.
I would think that Southwest would buy them because that's pretty much what they do.
Really?
Southwest.
I can't. They're cheap too.
Yeah. So that's the deal with the women thing. Minimum wage hike, total joke. They want to. He wants to hike the minimum wage. He goes, how can you raise a family on $15,000 a year? And I said, who the hell does that? Who the hell raises a family on $15,000 a year? Guys, if without minimum wage, how does a 16-year-old in high school get a job anywhere?
Right, and
A low minimum.
Right.
When I say minimum wage, I mean a low minimum wage.
And minimum wage is a crime in itself. I'm not going to rehash all that. But minimum wage is discrimination against those, usually winds up being minorities, is discrimination against minorities and folks who don't speak English very well. So you're talking about new folks coming in the country on getting a job to even begin to make money.
It's like the General Electric effect. When I was at General Electric, it was like a giant empty warehouse almost everywhere you went, and there was these spots here and there of assembly lines surrounded by huge expanses of empty warehouse. And on these assembly lines were a handful of workers putting together jet engines. And the process engineers, their job was to try to reduce headcount every day. Like they had to try to redesign the assembly line to reduce headcount. And one of the things that they would do would be to allow for as much overtime as a human being can possibly stand in order to reduce headcount. And I'm sitting there thinking, wait a minute, but now you're paying them time and a half. What is going on here? Well, it turns out the union needed the high pay.
Right.
They wanted all these medical benefits.
Right.
And the medical benefits cost GE based on head count.
Oh.
And that was a huge expense. So if we could ever reduce head count,
then we'll reduce the medical expense.
The medical expenses would drop huge.
That's funny you bring that up.
So
go ahead.
But here's the moral of the story. GE back in the day used to have tens of thousands of workers in those same buildings. There were assembly lines everywhere.
Well, the parking lots were ginormous, which aren't there anymore.
They reduced. They landscaped the parking lot because they don't even fill it anymore. It's like broken concrete all over the place for a while there before they finally just said, you know what, let's put dirt on it and plant some trees. So that's what they did. But anyway, and you can see that from 75. For those of you listening in Cincinnati who commute 75, you see all these hills with trees on them now. They used to be all parking lot where GE is. But anyway. The moral of the story is because of the socialists demanding so much money and demanding a high minimum wage or high pay and huge benefits, it requires the companies to lay everybody off except for a skeleton crew,
and
that's all they can afford.
And that skeleton crew will be the creme de la creme. It'll be the top of the top, the best of the best. I mean, you better come to the table with a resume pages long.
Yeah, and in GE's case, because it's all union,
you better know somebody.
Well, you have to have started at GE in the union at 18, and not until you've had 20, 25, 30 years of experience are ever in a position to maybe get lucky enough to be an assembler. And I do use the word assembler, even they call them mechanics. No, they're not mechanics. They call themselves mechanics. Yeah, I'm a mechanic. No,
of course
you're an assembler. I drew the manual on how to assemble this thing, and it was all loaded with pictures and arrows
because they needed to be instructed with pictures.
Because I was informed that a significant percentage of these assemblers that are building your jet engines, this is GE aircraft engines,
right?
They supply a huge chunk of all the jet engines and all the commercial airliners that you fly every day. They're being assembled by people who are largely illiterate.
And if you don't believe us, it's the same reason why McDonald's has pictures. McDonald's specifically invented the picture menu
so that they can hire illiterate people. Which may be fine.
Not only that, but then the general public who goes to public schools, they're illiterate too.
Well, that's how they end up with the job either with McDonald's with the pictures or at General Electric assembling the jet engines that you fly around the country in.
Amazing. So, again, minimum wage, discrimination against everybody.
Well, and think of all the people who would otherwise have a job building aircraft engines at GE,
right?
And then supplying cheaper jet engines to to like Boeing or whatever, who makes the airplanes, and then the whole plane is cheaper then,
right?
And then it costs less to fly and all that stuff.
And I've worked in a lot of different machine shops, and there's machine shops that were doing really, really, really well, and they would have extra positions, if you will. There was a guy who was a tool setter. He'd push around a cart with tools on them, and he would measure the tool length and put a little tag on it with a number of how long the tool is. So if you ever needed that tool to put in your machine, you wouldn't have to measure it. You could just type it in your machine right away.
Okay.
And sometimes he would walk around with his cart like a librarian with books.
Okay.
If you need, and this cat was getting paid $25 to $27 an hour.
Okay.
Well, when times get tough,
he's
not going to have a job.
He's the first to go.
Because I'm the machinist. Of course I can set my own tools. I can operate the machine. Mm-hmm. I can set them myself. Mm-hmm. So that job is expendable.
Oh, definitely. Well, and let's look at this from a very macro, wide angle here. If GE didn't have to pay the assemblers so much money. We could have more people in there assembling these jet engines. The jet engines would be cheaper, which means the aircraft would be cheaper. Ticket prices would be cheaper. More people working at GE will all be able to go on vacation once a year because they'll be able to buy a cheaper plane ticket. Everything becomes more affordable. Everybody has more income because more people are working in good jobs. But instead we got this ridiculous communist idea that we got to pay everybody an extraordinary amount of money. It drives the cost of everything up, and you end up with this small little group of people who are lucky enough to have that high-paying job and are the only people who they can afford to go on vacations every year.
Right, and because these wages, these astronomical wages in this field are shooting through the roof, it is extremely hard to get paid a decent wage in that field. So if you're young and up and coming, you're not going to, and that is
Can't
true.
Get your foot in the door.
Yeah, that is true. Machine shops are a dying breed for the young kids coming up. They're just not doing it. It's harder and very difficult to get involved in because the unions have a stranglehold on them, the whole socialism, the whole thing full circle. So if I'm in a non-union shop, chances are I'm looking at getting into a union shop because it's the only way I can get paid
Sounds like you're making a case for
well, no, it's because the unions have ruined the market in that sense.
It's very artificial.
So how do I get? And the union companies are in bed with the government.
Yeah, that's the problem.
They are in bed with the government.
That's the problem.
Something we got to tell Rush too is that it's not crony capitalism.
Well, he knows. He's talked about crony socialism.
Okay.
But he does slip up and say crony capitalism. But I will point out to anybody listening, any union people, that we aren't against unions here. I am all for a company, I should say a group of workers for a company getting together and saying, you know what, this company is abusing us.
Right.
They're doing things to our individual workers that is just unconscionable, and so we should band together and say we're not going to take this anymore, and then that would leave management to either decide, okay, you guys are right, and I don't want to lose all you guys, so this is what we'll do. So the collective bargaining, we're totally for that. What we're against is doing it to the government. It should be completely illegal.
Right, for the government to have union workers.
And some of our first episodes, we went in great length about this. If you go back to some of our first episodes that we created in smithradio.com,
right,
we talked extensively about our opinion on unions. So I didn't want to totally rehash it, but I just want to point out that we're not against unions. We're just against well,
and I'm also
cronyism.
against unions that like to destroy a company by blackmailing the company into doing something, or they'll walk out with an exorbitant. They're expecting an exorbitant amount of money, i.e., take the Twinkie Hostess.
Oh, they ended up having to go
here in Cincinnati, and I read the whole thing. Apparently, Hostess was willing to give the unions a seat on the board of directors. They were willing to give them raises and this and that and meet most of all their demands, and the union said, we want more, and Hostess shut it down, said bye. Everybody got fired.
Well, there's two choices. They could just close down like Hostess did, and everybody gets fired.
Right.
Or they have the option of collectively firing the entire workazing and then rehiring new non-union
We ought to
people.
have your dad step in one day and give us the story on that. He's got some amazing stories.
The union was abusing his company for years and years and years, and finally somebody...
The company said we'd take it. We're mad as hell.
He said,
we don't take this
said,
anymore.
You guys are all fired. And because of the size of his company, they couldn't just get all replacement workers right away. So management decided, we gotta start operating the dials here.
Right. So his dad starts working,
and so do all the other white collar management workers. They all start doing the work that the unions that just got fired were doing.
And one of your dad's friends said to him, how's the thing going? Falling apart, isn't it? And your dad said, actually, we're more productive now than we were before. And the company
productivity and profit went through the roof, all-time highs.
The company told the workers, if any of you want to keep your job, come back.
Cross the picket line.
You got one chance. It's a one-time deal only.
Yeah.
You do it now.
Every single individual person in that union who was fired all had the opportunity, each individual had the opportunity to just not get fired at all. All they had to do was say, all right, well, I'm crossing the picket lines and I'll be there Monday morning.
Right.
And they would have been like, all right, clock
I think some
in.
people did do that.
I don't think any.
Oh, no, nobody.
I'll have to ask him.
They all got,
I can't speak on behalf of my dad.
Right. Well, nobody, whoever didn't cross it, they were all fired.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
And
yeah.
the union never came back. That was it. It was done.
Yeah, and then it was doing really well for a while, and then finally somebody came in and said, all right, we need to kind of have some normalization here. And then it all went to hell in a handbasket.
It went back to unionized?
No, not unionized. They had like some temp agency.
Of course.
And everything just went totally downhill. Fires every night. It was just
beautiful.
It looked like St. Louis.
Detroit?
Ferguson.
Oh, Ferguson.
Looked like Ferguson. Now it looks like Detroit. But all right, so getting back to Obama, he said I lost my place here, but he said that laws should strengthen worker unions. And I said, whoa. The unions are there as a group of people collectively bargaining with the company.
Right.
Whatever they do or don't do, it should stand on their own 2 feet.
And it's got nothing to do with the government.
No, why does the government have to make laws to strengthen worker unions?
Because that's what the union is there to begin with.
It's an attack on the business ownership.
Right.
It's an attack
Capitalism.
on business. Yeah, which ends up being an attack on. What do you think about the Universal Community College?
Well, now that you say that, I've got a sound clip on that.
Oh, okay.
Would you like to hear it?
Yes, I would.
Here's POTUS himself.
By the end of this decade, 2 in 3 job openings will require some higher education. 2 in 3. And yet we still live in a country where too many bright, striving Americans are priced out of the education they need. It's not fair to them, and it's sure not smart for our future. And that's why I'm sending this Congress a bold new plan to lower the cost of community college to 0.
Yes, community, not college. He threw the word college around. Community college.
So what exactly? I mean, they are colleges.
Yeah, but
like
they're
Cincinnati State.
They're easier. Well, the bar's lower. They're easier to get into. The cost is much lower.
At least it is now.
Until the government gets involved. And
right.
You normally take a couple of classes while you work through it. Matter of fact, Steve Doocy on Fox and Friends, I got a sound clip from him too. He's pretty pissed off about the whole thing Obama said. And this was Steve said.
Here's the thing that really bothers me about this.
What?
I made my final 2 college tuition payments about 2 weeks ago.
Well, you're speaking like from the heart of dad and moms out there feeling the same way. Wait a second, now we're paying for more college tuition for somebody else to the tune of $60 billion.
What a great deal, but who's going to pay for that?
But it's only, we're talking about, Steve, your family did not choose junior college. So you would not
Had
be
it been
eligible.
free, Brian, they might have.
Right.
Yeah,
there you go.
And Brian Kilmeade started to argue for Obama and the free college. And Steve Doocy put him on
Steve Doocy is always on point. He's always on point. His son, is it
his son?
There's Peter Doocy and Steve Doocy.
Is that his son?
Peter, yeah,
on Fox News.
Yeah, it's his son.
Well, I mean, they look like
that's his son.
The same family. I thought maybe it was a cousin or something.
You know how he got his come up? He stood up while he was in college and just gave somebody, some liberal, tongue lashing. It was caught on video and it went viral.
Nice.
And then Steve was like, "Yeah, it's my son." And then like a couple months later, he was doing, he would do interviews on the street and stuff like that. And then he just kept working up from there.
And I remember watching him coming in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's good. He's good at what he does. But
but
here's the whole point. And the reason why education, and this is very simple, folks. The reason why education is extremely expensive in colleges is the exact same reason that health care is starting to become extremely expensive.
And why it became expensive in the first place, and now it's going through the roof. And you think college is expensive now that the government, I mean, put yourself
the
in
government's involved is the answer.
Universities and colleges are not state institutions. They are private. They are a private company for profit, and they charge tuition, and they need to make money, and so they base their price based on supply and demand. That's why Harvard can be so expensive, because so many applications come in, and they could pretty much charge whatever.
Right.
And so all of a sudden, you've got government saying, "Well, we're just going to pay for all these kids." Well,
how much are you willing to pay?
Exactly. And so these colleges are going to be like, well,
if we can
jack it up,
right? If we can get an extra $1,000 per student
per minute.
I was going to say per quarter.
Okay.
Per 15 minutes.
Per class.
Per class, an extra 1,000 per class. 12 classes, that's $12,000 per student.
No, I'm talking when they walk in the class, they have to have 10 $100 bills in their hand, and they place it on the desk like an apple.
Oh my goodness.
No, it's a roll.
It's a roll. Everybody's got a knot.
Everybody's got a roll of money with a rubber band around it, and they have to place it like a cylinder on the desk.
So his whole desk is covered corner to corner with knots of 10 grand pieces. Each knot's $10,000.
Right, and that's every class, every hour. So anyway, that's what that'll come to. And then there'll be the wheelbarrow. They'll have to start the wheelbarrow,
right.
And they'll have to change the right now you have handicap access.
Right.
They'll just have to eliminate stairways altogether, because every student's going to have to be able to bring a wheelbarrow into the class full of cash where they can dump it at the.
And then they're going to start demanding, because they are not trusting of the actual paper money, that you're going to have to start bringing in gold pieces.
Yeah, that's when we'll go back to the gold standard right there.
And if you, if you're thinking that I'm hating on colleges, I'm not hating on them for doing what they're doing. They're doing this because the government is allowing them to do this.
Well, and the government likes to do it because they are another of the
extension of the hand of teaching. Bringing the kids up right.
It's the propaganda arm.
Right.
They have this. It's a multi-arm propaganda web, if you will, or spider, octopus. I'll say octopus. So the tentacles, the tentacles that reach out and turn everybody into communists. One of the tentacles would be the media. So you got like MSNBC would be like one of the suckers on the media arm, the propaganda arm of the Democrat Party.
Right.
So that would be MSNBC and CNN and all those other mainstream, the ABCs, NBCs, all that stuff, all part of the. Now, the other part of the propaganda machine, octopus, if you will, is the tentacle of education. And so they reach out to your children and bring them up, making sure that they are indoctrinated into
correctly
the Marxism that will. It'll help them to vote correctly.
Right, because they need to be taught how to vote the right way.
So then when the dog
it's a re-education camp, if you will.
It is.
Or education camp, and then they'll send you back if you need re-educating.
Right, and they will eventually do that. But so what happens is they teach the kids what they're supposed to hear. They train them to hear the dog whistle. Then the politician... They say the dog whistle terms, like Pavlov's dog. They will then pull the lever for the correct candidate when they get old enough.
Oh yeah,
and that's how the propaganda works. And that is, this is not a conspiracy theory. This is what is happening.
This is not conjecture.
Right. All right. So that's the Universal Community College. So you're saying they shouldn't get it for free because. One thing he pointed out, and this is actually historically correct, one of the very few factual things that Obama said, was that there was a time where everybody had to pay for high school And then the government stepped in
God.
and said, well, why don't we just offer universal education for children all the way up to 12th grade? So he's literally making a 13th and 14th grade, because he said they're just going to pay for, what, 2 years?
Right.
Okay, so...
Well, but the thing is that the kids, and even Steve Ducey towards the end of this sound clip, he even made the comment that if these kids coming out of school, high school, the problem is that they're not being educated to a point to where they can either get the job, they can do the thing.
Damn good point. I mean,
we've got major problems. There's stats out there.
You don't need a 13th and 14th grade.
No.
You need to fix the crap. Instead of teaching them how to pull the lever for the Democrat Party, why don't you teach them to be able to have the skills to earn a living, to put food on the table for their family?
Well, these schools, though, are implementing these rules and these laws and this education to keep the Democrats in power, because they're just raising new voters. That's what this is.
Yeah, they're trying to. We need to program them so that when we hit the buzzwords, that they pull the lever. So anyway,
did he say anything about immigration?
I'll get to that.
Okay.
He's talking about exporting businesses. We need more businesses that export. So he definitely pointed out a fair trade deal with China and all that.
Wow.
And I'm just like, look, quit with the communist countries, okay? And then I was really surprised by this because I was already thinking that his head was
swelling.
It was like you're in La La Land.
Oh.
Apparently he's somewhere outside of Earth because he wants a space mission to Mars now. Did you? He pointed that out. Yes, he wants NASA to send a man to Mars, and there was also somebody in the State of the Union address who is going to live for a year in space in order to prep us for a mission to Mars. I think the whole Mars thing is. I don't think we'll ever go to Mars. If we do, I'll be shocked. I mean, not my lifetime. I don't think we'll go to Mars in our lifetime, and we could do a whole 3-hour show on why I think that's not going to happen. If you are one of those pie in the sky people that think that humanity is not progressing unless we are venturing out further and further in space, I'm sorry for crushing your dreams.
Right. Well, let me be the first to say that I know what Mars is like, and I got no reason to go there. Ever.
And why do you know what Mars is like?
Well, it's not Earth.
I saw.
It's not Earth.
Wait, what's that?
There's
Arnold
no water.
Schwarzenegger
There's
movie?
no food.
What's the Arnold? What is it? Oh, Mr. Producer is dropping the ball on us.
Was it the one where the alien came out of his...
Yeah.
Open your mind.
Yes, that one.
Total Recall.
So once you've seen Total Recall, that's all you need to know about Mars.
And then the government controls the oxygen in the air.
Oh, and that's what they want, more control. What about closing tax loopholes? That sounds like dog whistle. We're going to close those tax loopholes. He just loves saying that. It's kind of a dog whistle saying, what they're saying is you know that the rich are rich mainly because they are keeping or stealing the government's money by not paying taxes due to these loopholes. So we're going to close those up, i.e. tax the hell out of the rich.
Right.
And he pointed out he doesn't want the wealthy to build wealth while families struggle for child care.
Oh, my God.
He's really laying it on thick. Wow. So let's see. He stands united with nations affected by terrorism. And I pointed out, but he left France hanging.
Yeah, he sure did.
That was. Why would he even dare go there, knowing what our reaction's going to be? Like, what about France? Totally left France hanging. But he stands united with nations affected by terrorism. He keeps calling it ISIL. He called ISIL, quote unquote, what we call ISIS. He calls ISIL. He called it a bankrupt ideology of extremism.
Wow.
He also supported Ukraine and independence from Russia, which, Putin's been handing Obama his lunch so long, he just had to get something in there. So his Cuba policy. Cuba. So his policy is long past its expiration date, is what he said. He said when what you're doing isn't working for 50 years, you gotta stop doing that.
Wow.
So
we've got sound clips on that too.
Hannity. I wanted to point out that Hannity this
week. We play the sound clip.
Oh, do you have Hannity's clip?
No, I have.
Of him saying the 50 years one.
Right.
Oh, you talking about from what's her name? Green.
Yeah.
If you want to play it, let's hear what she.
There's a. Well, I mean, when you say somebody's famous on YouTube, she's not famous on YouTube.
I never heard of her before. Brian brought her up to me today.
I saw a picture of her. She's the woman with green lipstick, and she's annoying.
Never seen her before in my life, and I am a YouTube fiend, and I did not know about this.
And she is so annoying. Oh, it's this girl. It's that girl. She calls herself Glozell.
Glozell. GLO. Capital ZELL.
Right, and she has a YouTube channel, and she's noted for certain things like eating cereal in a bathtub.
Oh, and she also tried to eat a ladle.
A ladle.
I'm talking about the restaurant ladle. It's like a 12-inch long ladle that holds about a cup.
At least, yeah.
About 1 cup. The ladle size would be a cup size. And she heaped a big, giant, heaping cup of pure cinnamon, ground cinnamon,
right,
and took the cinnamon challenge.
Like that.
And she took this ladle and shoved it into her mouth, and it became.
She was choking.
She almost died.
Yeah, that's what she said. And she was choking and convulsing so hard, she gave herself whiplash, and
her wig flew off.
Yes,
that's
awesome. What went viral. So apparently,
that led to her getting an exclusive interview with the President of the United States
of America, which France can't get, and apparently Benjamin Netanyahu can't get. So this is this is her announcing to all her crew on YouTube what's happening.
What? Me?
What is that?
I'm so excited because I have been asked to
oh my God,
interview POTUS, the President of the United States of America. I know you're like, what did she just say? I know, the President of the United States. I'm so happy that I watched every episode of Veep.
She watched every episode of Veep. That qualifies her.
Please leave your comments and questions in the comment section. I wonder if anybody's gonna talk like this, like, I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay, but I'm gonna play it cool. I'm like, yeah, what's up? Okay, President. Okay, I'm ready. But I need your questions because I'll be like, Mr. President, is you okay? Is you good? Because I want to know.
How about some
civil
proper
rights,
grammar,
economics, education, also some fun questions. That I mean, he seems cool. So please. Use your hashtag, and I'm so thankful for this opportunity. I'm so excited. I went to both inaugurations and froze to death, so I'm very excited that I actually get a chance to meet the man. I hope the president likes green. I'm gonna have to buy some new weave. I'm gonna meet the president.
Gotta buy new weave.
I like it.
How long is this going on? Oh, that's where you got the. Oh man, what is wrong with there? Oh man.
So no, that wasn't the. I just had to. I had to play that. You guys needed the. So this is low information voter stuff. Flozell.
Okay.
And
has no idea what grammar is and doesn't care.
So when I told you, and I forgot to clarify that, when I told you she's famous for eating cereal in a bathtub.
Oh, and I was like, okay, I've never eaten cereal in a bathtub. But, I mean, is that really that weird or unique? I mean, I fill up a bathtub and take a bowl in with you and eat cereal.
No. The bathtub is filled with milk.
What? Wait a minute. That's not unique. I saw Tom and Jerry. Remember the episode where he was rich?
Sure did.
They showed a picture of a newspaper, and the front page was him. I don't remember what the exact wording of the headline was, but it was something to the effect of "Cat inherits millions." And there's a picture of Tom in a bathtub filled with milk, and there was a straw in it, and he was drinking the milk.
Apparently, that's where she got this idea from, because she filled the bathtub up full of milk and dumped boxes of cereal in it, climbed in the tub.
Okay, because I was going to say, I could do that and then use a ladle, not with cinnamon in it, and then eat out of a bathtub like that. But you're saying
she climbs in the tub.
Oh, that's so disgusting.
And eats the cereal while she's in the tub.
Oh, that is foul.
Right. So that's what she's famous for.
Did she take a shower before that?
No.
No, that was her shower.
That was her shower.
She was using a washcloth and
cereal pieces.
Oh, what are those things called? The little scrunchy things that you wash yourself? There's a name for it.
Oh, loofah.
Loofah.
Yeah, I have daughters. I've got 2 daughters and a wife.
So she was taking... Now, do you know what kind of cereal it was?
It looked like Trix. The round balls of colored different balls.
So that would be hard to make a loofah out of. I was going to say Cheerios. You could probably get a nice grip on a bunch of Cheerios and scrub yourself down.
If you got the Trix in your hand... Well, you start scrubbing yourself, the balls will start peeling off.
Well, and also, both Trix and Cheerios both have this problem. Within about 35 to 40 seconds, it's completely mush. Yeah.
So she gets an interview with POTUS, Mr. Obama, asked a bunch of questions. This is the only one we heard, and we thought that this was a good one to
sums it all up.
Bring to the people. It's 57 seconds long, so please listen really closely.
Okay.
Okay.
I grew up in Florida.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of friends, close friends, who are Cuban Americans.
Right.
And I've heard the stories of their families escaping.
Right.
And some of them didn't even make it to come to the United States for a better life, to get away from the Castros.
Right.
Okay. I mean, the guy puts in dictatorship. So I'm trying to understand how do you justify dealing with the Castros?
Well, here's what's happened. We've had the same policy since I was born, which was we were going to have an embargo, we were going to cut off all contact, all communication, and nothing changed. And, I've said this before, when you do something over and over again for 50 years and it doesn't work, it's time to try something new.
Okay. So
we give her props.
Oh yeah, I give her so much props. She was not going to stand for people blindly being like, we're going to have Cuba, our friends again, and we're going to be able to go to have tourism there and have vacations.
I thought it was amazing because I saw her silly, childish stuff first.
And you would think she would pull the low information crap, but apparently she knows because she grew up in Florida. And I, every time I've gone on vacation in Florida, you go to the grocery store or whatever, and in the aisles are Cuban exiles. I mean, there's a lot of Cubans
They
down
sleep
there.
in the aisles.
No, they're shopping. They're shopping, but they're not Mexican or Puerto Rican. They are Cuban.
Right.
And so she grew up with this. And so she was not your typical American low information voter because she grew up in a place where she's not low information on this particular subject. So she said, I'm not playing that. I'm going to call him out on this. And I got to give her some props on that.
However, she accepted what he said.
Right. Well, that's because she's not experienced.
Well, not only that, but she worships the man.
She was starry-eyed. She was starry-eyed.
Extremely. So, him saying what we've been doing for 50 years I just realized that it's not working. So I decide it's time to do something different.
And here, I'm not going to take credit for this. I believe it was Hannity that pointed out that, well, then my follow-up question to that is why are we still fighting the war on poverty?
It's not working.
It's been at least 50 years for the war on poverty.
They're saying more people are on the poverty dole. Percentage-wise, per capita, we've grown as a country since then, but percentage-wise, it is identical to when this started.
Well, and interestingly, and I don't know if this supports the war on poverty or not, but the money guy that comes on 55 KRC after Hannity, I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
He said if you earn $30,000 a year or more, you are in the top 2% wealthiest people in the world.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's an absolute fact.
Yeah, $30,000 or more, you're in the top 2% of wealthy of income earners in the world.
Our preacher at church, one sermon, kind of got on everybody a little bit and said, for those of you here on the west side that are trying to become rich or wealthy or whatever, understand that you are in that 1 percentile.
Yeah.
You are. If you own a house, you have a car, you have a job.
You're driving around.
You're at the $40,000 a year mark. You are 1% wealthiest in the world.
And if you're in Lower Price Hill, thinking you're poor, don't even try it. When I look right on the side of that building that you're living in, and there's a satellite dish on it.
Right. You're eating. You're watching TV. Xbox,
so
Game
many
Boy,
fat people.
Cars.
You're not really poor unless you're really seriously you're hungry, you're malnourished, you're skinny, and you're actually worried about where your next meal's going to come from.
Guy at work, his sister has 2 kids. It's her and 2 kids, and he said she gets $700 a month in food stamps.
Okay, so here's the problem.
It's 3 people.
We're making the case for the war on poverty, so that.
So we should join them, and we would still be one of the richest in the world.
Join who?
The people in Lower Price Hill. They're not work.
Oh, you're saying they're not working?
No.
Oh, because they got the So okay, that's a war on poverty. What
a nightmare.
So okay, I would say it isn't working because you're not improving society or anybody in the long term by substituting the fact that they haven't been able to earn enough through working by just letting them live without having to work at all by just handing them the money that they need to survive
and
forever.
Right. And America, being the wealthiest nation in the world, not needing this and allowing people to become even more and more and more wealthier. America is the most generous country humankind has ever seen. We give away as individuals, not as the government. The government gives away billions to other countries. But as individuals, when we see something happen, like the hurricane or the tsunamis and the tornado, all these things that happen around the world, all of a sudden American dollars from individual people flow like a river of help.
Yeah, and it's funny because the trillions that went to Haiti, nobody knows what. It's still not rebuilt.
No, Haiti is still
destroyed. Like, well, all the buildings were made out of reclaimed plywood and they've all been flattened. But
I thought it was reclaimed cardboard.
Could be cardboard, which isn't very waterproof, by the way.
No,
we found out.
No, not normally.
No, but back to the 50 years comment. Communism over 100 years, and it never works.
No.
It never did. It work in Cuba?
Nope.
If communism worked, then the embargo we had on Cuba would have been pointless because they would have thrived. They would be advanced.
Okay.
They would have outpaced us.
I thought of something. He said what America was doing wasn't working, so he wanted to change what America was doing. However, the the problem with that logic is that Cuba needs to change what they're doing to improve their lifestyle. And when Castro says, I'm going to give you all free rice cookers, he really did that one time. He handed the government, gave each household a free rice cooker to cook rice. The problem is that they didn't have rice. I don't know if that's a joke or what that was all about, but it's like, dude, you are...
Thanks for the rice cooker. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. We're starving here.
Completely out of touch
right.
with the people. Just completely out of touch. Anyways.
Yeah. So, no, the reason we did all the sanctions, embargoes, all that stuff to Cuba is because we were trying to get them to change. So the effect of what Obama is doing, he's sending a message to not only Cuba but to the rest of the world that between what America was doing versus what Cuba was doing, and I can explain to all your low information voters what that is, capitalism versus communism.
Right.
He agrees that Cuba shouldn't be the one to change. We should be the one to change.
Isn't that what he says about everything in the whole world? The world doesn't need to change. America needs to change.
Yeah, we've always been the problem. He has this twisted, anti-American view of American history that is completely wrong.
Right.
Which is being taught to all the children today. So you think Obama is a American-hating, treasonous, traitorous person who's destroying America because he feels that we deserve it. But every single child from pretty much 35 and younger are being brought up this way, and the only way to combat that now, or the only people who don't have the same belief system and ideology that Obama is because they didn't believe it when they were taught it, or they were re-educated by people who knew better, and that's it.
When you're raised in an environment that is pro-communist and anti-America, it's really hard. I mean, it's brainwashing. It's really hard to unbrainwash somebody that is just out in the public sphere, and then all of a sudden you start finding other people that believe the way you believe, then it's really impossible. So Obama married his wife, who both have the same ideology. They're both communists.
And they both hate America.
And they both,
the first time in my life,
vehemently hates America.
First time, I wish we had the soundbite right now. For the first time in my life, I'm proud of my country because Obama was elected. He won a primary.
Right. Yeah, crazy lady. So they were educated by the same communist manifesto. They're educated by the same individuals, the Saul Alinsky, same people that educated Hillary Clinton. Saul Alinsky himself, she's old enough to actually have had lunch with Saul Alinsky. And so these individuals have joined the group and have been raised through the group through lying, cheating, and stealing. And so their reward has been immense. So, how do you say that the way I got to be president is not good? Because I got president. No matter how I got it, so I win. Right. It's like I played a game with no rules.
They created this crazy leviathan of America. And by they, I mean communists from 100 years ago started this ball rolling that just keeps on rolling. And no matter how hard we try, even Reagan couldn't even stop it.
And they knew they had to get into the media outlets, the newspaper and the information outlets. That's why they started with the news. That's why they own the news.
Yeah, they knew that was an important part of the propaganda effort.
Right, and Hillary saw that there was an extra step to that, and she believed, without bombing and killing, that they could lie, steal, and cheat their way into a political life, and then own the politicians, which would then own the government as a whole.
Well, you're right. It's just a machine that keeps the people who get into power are earning more power, or being given more power.
And the reason why we bring this up again and again and again is because we want to make it. It got to hammer at home how important it is.
We're never going to stop talking about
to get yourself involved with voting, understanding, knowledge, reading, questioning. Don't even take my word for it. Go out and look. I was talking to my wife after watching the movie America, Imagine a World Without Her, and we were finding out how many slave owners were black slave owners, and how vicious they were. She went and watched the movie, the 12 Years of Slavery, and that got her thinking how many slave owners were black, and she was astonished.
Yeah, slavery is not a black-white thing.
No.
Before
it's a power control thing.
Well, and before Africans were enslaved in America, they were, whites were enslaved thousands of years before that.
And they said at one point in time, there were more Irish indentured slaves than blacks in America.
In America?
In America, because England would punish them for whatever reason and send them to America as a slave.
Okay.
I said, your sentence is 7 years as a slave in America, and then after that 7 years, they'll do with whatever they want. They usually either re-up the term.
They just keep you.
Or you were dead.
Or died. Didn't even survive it.
Right.
But before Africans were being taken from Africa to become slaves, and when I say taken, I mean actually they were
roped. In the whole
there were black people in Africa whose job it was to round them up, to sell them to the Europeans who would ship them over to the New World.
And this is the ideology. And when I say America is completely different, this is why America is different. And it's the same argument I made before. In every other continent other than the Americas, I'm talking all of Europe, all of Asia, all those continents, for all of human existence, the way to obtain anything was either work hard for it or go easy by taking a club and knocking somebody out and taking their women and children. That's just what you did. If you wanted more things, you conquered somebody because it was easier to do that. And
Sometimes. I mean, it takes a lot of work to go to war.
It does. However, at one point, for the longest time, it was masculine and manly to go to war to take somebody's stuff. If you were a merchant, a lot of times you were at the bottom of the rung. You were looked at worse than a tax collector.
And you should be thanking your lucky stars every day that we don't live in that kind of war.
Right. And so you're like, well, is that still going on today? Yes, it is going on
just
today.
Just not in America.
Matter of fact, Boko Haram, this week.
That is clubbing people over the head and taking them, and that's our women and children.
They surrounded a city this week, got it from 3 different sides, slashed the throats of 200 men, and took the women and children. That happened this week again.
Yeah, I mean, we're not talking about 3, 4, 5,000 years ago.
However, that's what the Muslims were doing 1,000, 2,000 years ago. That's what the Muslims have been always doing this.
1,500 years.
1,500. They have been doing this ever since. This is what they do.
Well, getting back to I just wanted to point out that part, but getting back to the State of the Union, he brings up diplomacy in Iran. He wants to negotiate with Iran about nukes and said Congress sanctions against Iran guarantees that his diplomacy fails.
Okay.
I don't know why. He didn't explain why.
No, of course he doesn't need to. Those are things that he throws out there. We need to go with massive sanctions against Iran because it's the only thing that has ever worked for evil empires like this. The only way to do it, let me put it to you this way. Let's look on a small scale. If I wanted to hurt you, Carrie, and tie you down so that you feel the most amount of pain, if I take your money or if I cut off your money supply, what would that do to you?
Well, I mean, I'd be hurting.
You would be willing to probably do whatever it takes to survive.
There you go. Yeah.
So cut them off at the money And once you cut them off at the money, they will come to the table and say, what do we need to do?
You would think.
Eventually, and if they don't, they become a Cuba and almost a non-threat. Almost, I said.
Right.
So,
The next thing, he addresses the hackers from overseas, particularly North Korean hackers. He didn't say much about it, but he said he wants to introduce new laws to combat it. My personal opinion on that is any laws that are introduced by just about anybody, Republican, Democrat, but particularly communists, that have anything to do with the internet, I just don't trust him.
Here's what he wants. He wants to control the internet.
Yes.
They want to take over the internet. They want to tax it. They will destroy that too.
They'll destroy it.
Everything they touch, they destroy.
Yeah, and that was pointed out on some talk radio this week. The internet, the free trade, or what's the the internet bill that they're trying to introduce? I can't remember the name of it, but they're trying to make it sound like there's some sort of unfair inequality on the internet right now.
Right.
It is the only, probably the freest place and it's a virtual place. It's like a world, but it's virtual.
Right.
It's a whole universe. And it's the only place in human history that's been that free. Probably since, man was just, a couple hundred strong in the plains of the Fertile Crescent, back in the day.
Right.
That's probably the last time that there was free reign in a world like there is on the internet today. So whenever you hear politicians start to talk about some sort of thing that isn't free on the internet, whether it's your ability to do something, whether it's a company's ability to do something, or anything like that, you just listen to me right now. It is a lie in order to trick you into giving them power over everybody through the internet.
Net neutrality.
Net neutrality, that's what it was called. Yeah, so it starts with the cyber attacks. He wants to combat cyber attacks with legislation.
Right. He said the internet service providers should not be allowed to control or pick winners and losers.
Well, who's picking winners and losers?
The internet providers.
This is just a complete fabrication.
He's the one that picks the winners and losers, and he's picked all losers.
Well, it was pointed out by somebody this week that there are multiple internet service providers.
Yes.
So there is no monopoly here.
No, it's called capitalism, and it's called competition.
Right. So if one internet service provider is acting in what would be considered unfair terms or immoral,
right,
or anything like that, they're going to lose business to the other internet service providers.
Right.
And so this could be another 3-hour show on net neutrality.
Of course it could
but
be.
I just want to just sum it up right here by saying you not only should you not support it, when Reagan said that America was the last bastion of freedom, and we lost that. We did lose the last bastion of freedom in America. There is one last frontier for freedom, and that is the virtual universe of the internet.
I mean, look at what we've done.
Yeah, it's amazing.
On a shoestring budget, look what we've been able to do. And if we can have a positive effect on, 4 people, that's double us.
There you go.
We've doubled and hopefully they can have an effect on 4 each.
Yeah, all they have to do is tell them to start listening to us. So,
and I'm not talking about network marketing either.
You 4 people right now, you 4 people listening, go ahead and tell your buddies. Just one person.
You got to go get.
You got to go
get your friend.
Okay, go get your friend.
Go get him.
And tell him
to listen.
To sit him down next to your computer.
Get him to pull up the sign-up sheet.
Pull up the sign. And no, all you have to do is bust out your phone. When you put us on iHeartRadio,
right,
our newest episode will just start playing from the beginning. That's what's so awesome about the iHeartRadio thing. The only bad thing is I'm not sure. I don't think you can listen live. Okay, so if you're listening to us right now on iHeartRadio, we are not live, so don't call in. We're probably not at the studios right now because you're listening to our most recent recording. And if you actually hit the forward button, it'll go to another recording, and I'm not sure if it's the next most recent or if it's random. I don't know because we're kind of new on iHeartRadio. Thanks for tuning in, but that's our spiel on iHeartRadio.
Right.
But so net neutrality, here's what's going to get. This is really important. Not only do you not support it, you really shouldn't support it. You should go further. You must write an email or a letter or call your congressmen and representatives and tell them to vote no on net neutrality.
Right.
It's a complete fraud. There's the name of the bill, net neutrality, is itself completely misleading. It sounds like that's what you want. Oh, I want net neutrality. No, you don't.
Right. No.
They're calling it net neutrality, but what it's really called is government regulation over everything on the internet.
Well, and they do this with words. They love to use words that don't mean what it means, what it is.
It's the opposite usually. Usually if it's called something, and I wish I had a whole bunch of examples.
Well, when you go to the polling booth, you better have read up on whatever you're voting on because the title, even Title 8 or whatever it is.
Issue 8.
Anything. Yeah. And the names, some of the ones with the names, check yes to mean no.
Oh, that's right. I've had that before.
Right. We are.
If you support this new measure, that means that there will not be a tax.
Right.
But if you don't support it, that means you do get taxed.
Right.
And you have to really is this a double negative?
Right.
Or sometimes they'll use triple negatives,
right.
and you have to separate the operations with parentheses, and if it's a negative times a negative, that's a positive. And if you do it enough, you'll figure out whether voting yes means no on the tax. Right. Or no means yes on the tax. It's just
or yes to the bill means there will not be a tax.
So you want no on net neutrality because it means net neutrality means you are giving all of the power to the government, whose only purpose is to rule over you through communism.
And if you think that they can make the net, think of the word neutral. If you think the government regulations will make a neutral playing field on the internet, keep listening to the show. We will get you there.
It's neutrality happens through capitalism.
Yes,
and I'm talking completely free market capitalism.
Yes.
So yeah, that's really important that we point that out. Another thing. Global warming. Man, he really threw it out there thick, and I'm trying to figure out why. He lied about 2014 being the warmest year on record. He said, this is literally what he said, we are continuing to see sea levels rise. What? He actually said
Who sees it? And what are you looking through to see that?
And you know what I said? What do you mean by continuing? Don't you mean we're starting?
Uh-oh.
What do you mean continuing?
So they've been paying somebody already to watch the sea.
Well, they make it sound like it's been rising.
Right.
It's not been rising.
Right. I know what they're looking.
What is?
You know, if you take out a periscope or a telescope to look far away at the sea rising, what they've done is they're actually using a kaleidoscope.
There you go.
To see.
And that's why they can see the let me tell you something about the Earth. If the sea level rose any significant amount whatsoever, it would be dramatic.
Oh.
There are lowland areas in like Florida. I mean, if the sea level raised 6 inches, there would be a detrimental effect in places low flat areas like Florida and all that kind of stuff. You'd lose so much land on the all the coasts all over the whole entire world.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
there's certain
just
places.
lying.
Yeah, there's certain places where you can walk out the beach and you can literally walk out for 1/8 of a mile.
And that would all be gone.
Right, and the water's still up to your chest. And you could walk really far out.
Yeah,
Well, if sea level rose at any level, the water would be all the way up in the streets.
Yeah, so, and it just blew my mind when he said, we're continuing to see sea levels rise.
Well, and we know it's a fact. The either South Pole or North Pole has the largest amount of land, ice masses that they've ever been able to record.
They said that it's growing, which is the opposite of what they were anticipating. So he pointed out that global warming endangering the health of our children, and he used the word children.
Oh, jeez.
Several times, and
jeez.
So I wrote the children with a whole bunch of exclamation points. The children.
Can somebody please think about the children?
So he talks about Beijing, the agreement with China, and for the I didn't write anything to tell you guys today, but look up the huge fail that Beijing conference was with China. He basically the summit,
right,
where he basically gave all climate concessions to China.
Yes,
he basically told China, we'll do all of the things needed to combat what we believe.
Yeah, we'll follow all the rules that we're going to put in place.
Yeah, we'll reduce our emissions on everything,
and we'll do this within just a few years.
We'll do it immediately,
right?
And we'll do all that if you agree. And I don't know the exact year, but it is decades.
If you agree by the year 3000.
By the year 3000, if you go ahead and match us.
Promise.
Just promise.
That you'll... And if you say you promise...
Then we'll do it now.
And we'll believe you.
And that's what happened at this summit. And he went up there and... I mean, it was a huge fail, and he was touting it as this big... whatever. And
well, look at what China did. I mean, just environmentally unfriendly. China is erecting, I think it's like 1 new coal-fired plant per day, 3 a day. They're all about coal. They're all about energy. Not only that, but if you want to see something fascinating, go look up the Three Gorges Dam that China spent 20 years building. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They turned on these diesel trucks on day 1, and they never shut them off unless they broke for 20 years.
And they're building coal-fire power plants at a record rate.
1,000-year-old churches, 1,000-year-old.
Oh, yeah.
Everything had to be knocked down and removed because they were worried that the boats would hit them.
Oh, that's right.
And they had to relocate 2 million people.
Yeah, it was a big.
How do you do that efficiently?
Well,
bayonets.
Yeah, bayonets will do it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that'll
and
do
the
it.
government promised all the Chinese people that would be affected. They promised that they would send them checks to help them relocate. And one town said that nobody ever received a check. And so the whole town got together to help the whole town move up the mountain to get in a safer place. And all the farming land that's fertile land that they were farming is now all underwater, and all these millions of people are on the top of the mountain. It is not fertile land.
It's not fertile up there.
Yeah.
Oh no. Yeah. So they're going to starve.
So that's China. That's what they do.
Well, now they have with the dam, it's going to have electric power.
Hydroelectric power. Yeah.
Yep, there you go. So,
but no food.
That was a big fail.
Man.
So the next thing he talked about was he said, and this really irked me. He said that our prejudice against Muslims is sacrificing our safety.
Wow! I'm not prejudging Muslims. I'm not prejudging them at all. I'm judging them post-action. Yeah. I am post-judging Muslims.
That's called judging.
Yeah, it's after the
You're allowed to judge.
Right. Well, China knows this, or Japan knows this now this week. They said that they were supposed to get the negotiations to get the guy from not getting his head cut off.
Well, I'm waiting for a Muslim to chop off somebody's head on camera, and then right as he does it, as he's holding the guy by his hair, the head, in his hand, come real close up to the lens and say, "Don't judge me." That's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for that.
So the Chinese guy that got his head cut off?
Yeah.
They're pointing out discrepancies in
No, it was a Japanese guy.
Japanese.
Did you say Chinese?
Yeah, Japanese. They're pointing out discrepancies in the video.
Oh, okay. So we're going to talk about that right now. So for those of you who listen to us on a regular basis,
he's in the same desert.
Okay, so there were a couple people that got their head cut off. Was it a couple months ago, or
no, we're going back.
It was like 2 people.
We're talking about Japan, or we're talking about months ago?
Well, we're going to get to that.
Okay.
So this guy with a plastic knife. If you listened to us, you heard the episode.
Maybe 6 months ago.
There was this big stink about a guy getting beheaded. It was in a desert setting. The guy was in an orange jumpsuit.
Yep.
And they said, "We're doing this to you for whatever reason, and because the West, blah blah blah."
Yeah.
Chopped off his head, but that's the thing. We don't know if a head ever got chopped off. We broke the news. We were the only news outlet I heard anywhere that said, it's very possible that this guy never got his head chopped off. Because in the video, as soon as he starts to put the knife to his neck, it fades to black, and so no chopping of a head was ever viewed.
Right.
And my first initial reaction is okay, where's the unedited footage? Come to find out on further investigation, that was the video. It was the raw video.
Right.
It faded to black, and then it cut to what appeared to be his head on top of his body.
And Hollywood could have done.
Oh yeah,
I mean, and I'm
Baker.
talking,
With the Baker, he's the guy that did all the makeup for Yoda and all that stuff.
Right.
And
he in his sleep, his children sleeping, could have done an equal or better job.
Right. If you've ever seen the movie Summer School. Do you remember the kids that had all the gore and everything?
Yeah.
They were pulling their guts out of their stomach.
Yeah.
I mean, they did it, and they were just high school kids in a movie.
That's hysterical.
Yeah. So anyway, we were the ones that broke to you that this is an amateur could do this and not chop anybody's head off.
Okay. And something that I found during Discovery was that we ran across a real guy getting his head chopped off. For the faint at heart,
it's not easy to watch.
It is so difficult to watch, it's not even funny.
Right.
However, you don't get that when you watch these ISIS guys doing it.
Yeah, the
with
whole
the orange,
thing,
and it's always the orange jumpsuit guys.
and it's always a guy who, as he's about to get his head chopped off, doesn't really seem to mind. Doesn't seem to really flinch. He's relaxed. He doesn't, and it doesn't look like he's under the influence of any drugs or anything like that.
No, it's just matter of fact.
Yeah, and okay, all right. So this is the part where I gotta lift my chin up a little bit. All right, go ahead.
Right.
And then we fade to black.
Because the real one, when the real guy got his head chopped off,
yeah,
it was tell me you're not putting up some kind of squiggling fight of sorts.
Well, when that was it Robert Berg or something like that got his head cut off, the first one.
Right.
When he got his head cut off, in order for them to do it, 2 things had to happen. Number one, they never let on that he was about to get his head cut off. They kept it completely secret from him. They spoke in Arabic so that he had no idea what they were saying, which was, hey, we're about to chop this guy's head off.
Right.
And then they snuck up behind him with a knife without him being able to see it. And then they grabbed him, and then he struggled for his life as they sawed his head off.
Right.
This did not happen in any way, shape, or form in these films. So that's what happened to the first guy. Second guy, who allegedly was standing there when the first guy got his head cut off.
Fake-like.
When he got his head cut off, he relaxed, held his chin up, and it faded to black again.
Right.
So this guy also had the Hollywood treatment, and both Brian and I were like, "Whoa, I'm calling it now. This is not real. This is totally fake." So now these Japanese guys, there was a demand.
Yeah, originally they were demanding
huge ransom.
Huge amounts of ransom, and then they said Japan said as the time was about ready to expire, they said they weren't going to pay it.
Which you shouldn't.
Right, you shouldn't. And then they made a new demand. Apparently, there's a female jihadist. They called her the bomber, strap a bomb on you.
Mm-hmm. Suicide bomber.
Suicide bomber. But I don't know how she could be a suicide bomber if she's in prison. Anyways, that negates the fact. But they said release her, and we'll let the two guys go free.
Oh no! Don't tell me they released her.
No, they did.
They released her.
No, they didn't.
Oh,
not as far as I can see.
Okay.
I don't have any
that's good
indication.
That's good to hear.
That they released her.
So they didn't release her. That's good.
No.
So then you're telling me, because I have not seen the raw video, you're telling me that the woman or that the Japanese prisoner who was threatened to get his head cut off, they're saying now that a video came out that his head got cut off. Was it the same format? Was it he relaxed, he let him do the sawing motion, then fade to black?
It is extremely hard now to find any video footage of anything because, and they're only releasing pictures, because LiveLeak.com, who used to post these for them, has put a ban on all.
Oh, I know why.
ISIS,
right? Because they feel like I'm going to support their decision on that. They realize that by doing this, they're encouraging because now
it's like the LA News that would film live car chases.
Yes,
you were promoting the car chase
and
encouraging it at times.
Well, it used to be policy before 9/11, and I know there's a lot of people here that are either old enough but don't remember or are too young to even know. Before 9/11, it was American policy, and all the media outlets followed this very well, that anytime a terrorist attack happens anywhere in the world, you bury it.
Right.
And you do not expose it on newspapers, on TV or anything. When 9/11 happened, it was so egregious and such a terrible, huge act that was the moment in time where that policy went out the window. And ever since then, it hasn't even been discussed about the old policy where news outlets knew not to give these guys airtime.
Right.
And that's how it was. I remember learning that in the Marines. That was one of the policies, is that you don't make media whores out of these whores.
So there's two Japanese guys, one on either side in the same desert, same setting, same orange jumpsuit.
Okay.
Okay. Then you see one of the guys is claimed to have had his head cut off. The other guy comes out on a video, and he says, I'm still alive. And he says they no longer, I'm quoting him. This Japanese guy speaks in English, and he says in English. I don't get that. Why would you talk to your home country in Japan?
Oh, right. That doesn't make any sense.
He's talking to Japanese people in English.
That doesn't make any sense. I was going to say, when I was in Japan, almost everybody there spoke pretty good English.
Oh, okay.
They spoke
maybe.
pretty well.
Okay.
However, when they spoke to each other, they didn't speak in English.
No. And that's what Mexicans do that too.
Okay.
When they speak to each other, they speak in Spanish.
There you go. And that makes sense.
Yeah. So he says in the video, a separate video, because we can't find the first video, or even if there is a video, in this video he's holding up a picture, what looks like his friend with the head cut off. A picture of his friend with his head cut off. And
because that is verifiable proof.
Oh,
right
sure,
there.
sure.
Absolute proof.
And so he says, quote, they no longer want money, so you don't need to worry about funding terrorists, in the English voice. Quote, "Again, I would like to stress how easy it is to save my life. You bring them their sister from the Jordanian regime, and I will be released immediately. Me for her."
Okay.
And that's it.
Well, did they release fake footage of him getting decapitated?
No, not yet.
So
But
he's still alive.
as of yesterday...
Well, actually, they're all still alive. Every one of them. They're all still alive.
Right. So the Japanese Chief Cabinet Secretary Yoshihide Suga told Reuters, "This is an outrage, an unacceptable act. We strongly demand the prompt release of the remaining Mr. Kinji Goto without harm."
Wait, the remaining? I mean...
Maybe it's a translation error.
It must be. I'm like, okay.
We want the remaining pieces set free. Is it too soon? So the Japanese government has yet to verify the execution. The BBC reported this, and the U.S. government is also reported to be trying to verify its authenticity, but suspicions have already surfaced. The audio recording of Goto speaking over a static image of himself is unlike previous ISIS videos in which hostages were shown delivering messages themselves. Okay, well, anyways, in the picture of the two guys that are getting ready to get their heads cut off, this is going back to before he gets his head cut off, the shadows on the guys in the sun with the Muslim ISIS guy are pointing different directions.
What? Do you have the picture? I've got to see.
Yes.
I cannot believe
Is
that the picture or is it a different
one? No.
Oh, so it clearly a doctored... this is a photograph?
Yeah.
Because I'd love to see him do that in video.
Look. They're saying the shadows are going on his neck or facing to the left.
Oh, that
and
absolutely
on his neck
is.
are facing to the right.
Well, there could be two suns. Is this that planet from Star Wars? It looks just like Luke's home planet.
Right.
It might be on... No, seriously, the shadow... Yeah, that is weird. So the shading of the face is on opposite sides on either... Wow, that's... So have you ever heard of Schrodinger's cat?
What?
Schrodinger's cat. It's a big physics thing. If I'm getting high level physics here.
I never heard of it.
Okay, so if you've ever been in quantum mechanics.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, we're getting straight in quantum mechanics. There's this old story about Schrodinger's cat, the scientist named Schrodinger, where he talks about how the cat in a box could either be dead or alive.
Oh.
And until you open the box to find out whether he's dead or alive, you have to assume he's dead and alive.
Okay.
So in these, and for those of you who want to learn more about Schrodinger's cat, it's all over Wikipedia. Check it out. These people that are being decapitated,
right?
It's like Schrodinger's cat. We didn't see them get decapitated. We haven't seen them alive. We haven't seen them dead. We haven't seen the act happen. As far as I'm concerned, they're dead and alive. It's Schrodinger's hostages, is what I'll call it.
Right.
I mean, flat out. I mean, these people were not killed on camera.
Okay.
He's reading.
There's an editorial director for the Florida-based Terrorism Research and Analysis Consortium. They analyzed Tuesday's video. Apparently, they made the demands on Tuesday. They analyzed Tuesday's video frame by frame.
Oh, of course they did.
And found a number of inconsistencies.
Okay.
The men's shadows, for instance, converged with one another, suggesting more than one light source.
Okay.
Under bright sunlight, the shadows would fall in the same direction. She also noted that while the wind in the video seemed to make Yoko's shirt flutter, Goto's shirt remained relatively still. It almost appears that there's a fan coming from one direction.
Which means they're in a studio, and they're doing a really
in a
poor
studio
job.
with manipulated images, also raising credibility issues. Not only that, they're also saying that one militant via an Islamic State affiliated website, he said that Saturday's message was fake. A militant said that they something fake. Another said that the message was intended only for Goto's family. While a third militant on the site said the video was not released by the ISIS group. So he's saying that this wasn't our video, and another guy is saying that it was fake, and another guy is saying, "Oh, it's only for the family." Dude, you can't believe these people. So I've got all this information that we've been talking about, all the details, comes from the csmonitor.com. That stands for the Christian Science Monitor. They've got a lot of footnotes, a lot of links, and a lot of detail. I don't know much about them. I just know what they're reporting seems to hold a lot of weight, and seems to be pretty on point, for sure.
What about him mentioning that he wants to close Gitmo again?
Well, I made the comment on the video. Apparently, as soon as he said we're going to shut Gitmo down forever, for whatever, and then the Democrats all clapped. Boehner stayed seated and he didn't clap, obviously, which was okay. I mean, he's showing his base that, hey, look, guys,
more political theater.
Right.
Okay.
And so they panned the camera around to everybody clapping. Well, not everybody, all the libs clapping, and then it stopped on 10 generals, and the camera stayed still on them for a second, and it was zero emotion. It was like their eyes were trying to pierce through him. It was so no movement, not emotion, no nothing. And to me, it looked like if looks could kill. Well, I posted a comment on that, on the video, and then somebody quickly responded right away and said, "Hey, stupid, military personnel are not allowed to clap or to show emotion."
Well, they wouldn't. They don't clap. That's true.
Right. That is true. And I responded back. I said, "You're absolutely right." Other than Obama demanding the one Marine hold the umbrella over Obama, which he should have refused, and he not allowed to do that. I digress. The look in the eyes of the generals, regardless of what they were thinking, in my mind, says it all for me. I mean, there's
You can see it in the eyes. You can see it in the eyes.
Yeah, make no bones about it, too. On top of that, to back up what I'm saying, is that the military generals who disagree with Obama and the regime are being forced into retirement like never before.
Yeah.
I mean, there is an attack on military leaders by a leaderless, rudderless regime. It's just what they do. Why would they want someone who's a leader and better than them hanging around, not fulfilling their dreams and wishes?
Well, I think the thing that really sealed the deal on the military on Obama was the latte salute. I think that was pretty much that was it for him when it comes to the military. He talked about gridlock, and you hear politicians on both sides of the aisle talking about how gridlock is such a bad thing, and that we got to get this factory going called Congress to get them to produce laws. Like they treat Congress and the government in general as this big factory, and they produce laws. And if they're not producing laws, and we have gridlock, we're not being productive, nothing's getting done, and we're all suffering because our factory isn't being very efficient in making laws.
Right, and as we've stated many times, the factory needs to actually start to become one of those mobile shredding factories.
There you go.
Where you pull up with the big giant tractor trailer, the semi-trucks, in a row, and they all have shredding machines in the back of the truck.
How many laws do we destroy today? It's like a tree removal service.
Correct.
You got to put the whole tree into that giant wood chipper and just go,
just shred
And
all
if you can
day.
shred enough trees and make enough mulch, you've had that's the opposite of gridlock. And so that's my argument to him.
We should shred as fast as Lois Lerner lost her emails.
Oh, if we could employ her.
Techniques.
Right.
The IRS, former head of the IRS.
Put her
Lois
in
Lerner.
charge of the new committee of removing laws.
Right.
Of course, she would remove all the wrong laws, but I digress. So my argument is we benefit from the only people that benefit from gridlock are the freedom-loving citizens of America.
Right.
Abortion. He brought up abortion.
Of course.
He said we can agree.
Of course we do. We all agree.
We can agree that it's a good thing that teen pregnancies and abortions are at an all-time low. And I said, yes, we can agree to that. But we can also say, no thanks to any liberal ideologies.
Right. It's Christianity and the love of human nature that we preserve life. Christians love life and attempt to preserve it at all costs.
And then teenage pregnancies, conservatives are all about
educating.
Abstinence until marriage and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying that alone has prevented
but
teen
the
pregnancies,
education of where a baby comes from and how a baby happens.
Well, mainly that you have to be responsible for your actions.
Right.
And if you're going to be a man or a woman and act like you're married and do things that only married people should do, that there are consequences for those actions. And
right.
I think that, probably a little bit of conservative responsibility.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, could be at play there.
Mm-hmm.
So I say no thanks to any liberal ideology. We can, do that. He also he didn't address mothers and fathers raising children that don't do things that get them killed by cops. He brought up the Ferguson thing.
What the crap?
Yeah, he did not address, and that's my argument. He talks about cops. He blamed the cops.
Now that you say that, there's a sheriff, David Clark, sheriff up in Milwaukee, who was asked, clip 2, he was asked what he thought about Al Sharpton, Eric Holder, and Obama. The trifecta. The trifecta. And
the whole unholy trinity.
Oh,
it's the unholy
trinity. So David Clark, who is a black man and a sheriff in Milwaukee, said this on Fox News.
I don't expect anything intelligent to come out of the mouth of Al Sharpton. We all know that he's a charlatan. As a matter of fact, the next intelligent thing that comes out of his mouth will be the first. Al Sharpton ought to just shut up and go back into the gutter that he came from.
Well, you know what? Tell me how you really feel.
And he blasted Eric Holder and Obama and the three of them together descending on Ferguson.
Yeah.
Is a travesty, a crime, and a shame. And he also talked about the cop. How does he get back his reputation? Who does he go for to get the money from that he'll never make again as a cop?
Oh, I'm telling you, want to talk about reparations.
He was saying the guy needs to sue Al Sharpton. It wouldn't be the first time Al Sharpton was sued for what he does, and he lost.
Well, he should go after him. I hope that there's a good lawyer to go civil suits against some of these people.
Right. Al Sharpton accused a white man of raping a black woman in the park.
The Duke rape?
No,
that was something different.
Yeah, no, this was Tawana Brawley. He accused Al Sharpton accused a white guy of raping a black woman in Central Park. Come to find out through the whole trial, through everything, it wasn't true. She lied. It wasn't a white guy that raped her, and she was sorry.
I'm sorry.
So then he sued Al Sharpton in civil and won $5 million.
You know what? That is.
He refused to pay.
Okay.
Refused to pay. So when you remember, Al Sharpton ran for president of the United States. He couldn't run for president with that lawsuit unpaid.
Really?
So the boys that wanted it, they passed around the hat.
Are you serious? They took a collection.
And they paid it for him.
Well, I'm glad to hear that guy got his just due.
So, cop, if you're listening, which I know you are.
What do you think about the unpresidential gloating and the jab when he said, I wish, do you have the sound? I don't know if you have the sound bite, but he said, well, I don't have to, I'm not running for president anymore. And a bunch of people started clapping and cheering. He's like, yeah, because I won both of them. And then everybody blew up. You didn't hear that? No, it was news all week. That was big news all week. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
If I'd known that, I would have told you to get the soundbite up. But I just thought it sounded really unpresidential.
Well, it's like the whole week that's been going bad for him. He's been unpresidential all week, being butthurt from this and that.
He's trying to take away the wave election. He's trying to say, no, well, that didn't happen. I'm still president. I'm still in charge. And he wants to ignore all the people that that voted for conservatives to stop him. And he just wants to ignore it, and
right.
He has to.
Yeah,
that's his best bet.
Right, because he can't fight it. He can't fight fact.
That's his best bet. And then finally, let's see, Obama. Okay, if we have a recovered economy, he keeps talking about the economy being recovered. So I pointed out that if it's true, which I do feel like there's some sort of recovery happening, but if it's true, it's because American capitalists in the private sector made it through hard times that were created by socialists and communists in government.
Right, because government... Imagine having no government and no businesses and no nothing and starting out with a giant government. It won't make it happen. It won't make it grow. Right, and so we're down to the last few minutes.
Did you want to talk about the American Sniper movie? Or what do you want to talk about?
We can do more about that on next time because
okay.
We don't have any time left.
You want to get to something.
But there's a couple of things real quick. In the French courts this week, 3 people were sued and jailed and found guilty of homophobic tweets.
Oh, that's such a shame.
So the LGBT rights campaigners are so excited and say this is a big win, significant victory. So the hate crimes, the Twitter, they were on Twitter, and they used the hashtag "Let's Burn the Gays," which I didn't know gay people could be set on fire.
Okay.
And then they say...
And that could be construed as a threat.
Sure. And then another hashtag, "Gays must die because." But it was in French, so I don't know about the translation.
Yeah, and I will tell you this. There's a difference between a homophobic speech and just threatening speech.
Right, and this is ridiculous because I don't know. I just... Dude, people say that they want to kill Christians all the time, and nobody does anything about it. So I put this up.
It's a tough argument, but
I made fun of them. I was very sarcastic, and hopefully the French may come for me.
Well, and this is a controversial thing, but you could make an argument that threatening speech could be protected too, and I know nobody does.
Well,
nobody does. But my argument is maybe not my argument. Somebody could argue that you could threaten all you want, but if you don't act on the threat, then nothing, no harm, no foul.
Okay, well, how about
But there's other people that'll say, well, as long as I'm being threatened verbally, I'll feel threatened, and if I feel threatened, that shouldn't be allowed.
Okay. Well, they don't live in a free state. So, in California, hot off the press from CNN, a guy named Tiny Do, who's a rapper, was arrested and brought up on criminal charges, saying that his songs are being encouraging gangs to do killings, and because the gangs buy his albums, that he's benefiting from the gang members. And he was on Don Lemon, CNN, and Don Lemon said, Do you deny that your lyrics promote or encourage violence?
How is this not a blatant violation of the First Amendment?
Okay, well, here's what he says.
I don't think they promote any. I mean, I'm not saying I to go do this or do that. I'm not I'm just painting a picture, man, of urban street life. Like that's it. Like it's the studio is my canvas, basically. You know what I mean? Like I'm just painting a picture. That's it. I'm not telling anybody to go out and kill somebody or go do something. I'm not doing anything differently than the game, say per se.
I'm not doing anything differently than the. I hope he said the game. Sounded like he said the gang. Anyways, he has no arrest record. Nobody ever said he pulled the trigger. And they're saying, the district attorney, the prosecuting attorney, is saying that Tiny Do's album, No Safety, and lyrics like, ain't no safety on this pistol I'm holding, as examples of a direct correlation to what the gang's been doing.
So if there's no safety on the pistol, that is killing somebody?
Right. So
well, how is this it's a complete
amazing.
non sequitur. It just doesn't make any sense.
It's amazing. And I won't play this clip, but
there's got to be more to this.
Dom Lemon asked him if this was due to racial, social, or economic factors. And, of course, he said, yes, this is racial. It's all about race. And then here is a sound clip of Tiny Dewey's song.
Of course. I feel like...
Nope. Is that the song?
That's
not the
song.
Wow, that's one boring sounding song. Do you have the song?
Oh, you gotta be crapping me.
Producer.
I don't think they promote any. I mean, I'm not.
No.
Producer's got it all jacked.
About that.
All right. And I even worked on that.
Do you know the name of the name of the song is No Safety.
Right.
And it's Tiny Do is TinyDoo.
Right.
That's how you spell Tiny Do. So if you want to look up that song, No Safety, you can listen to the lyrics. Me personally, here's the thing about speech. If you order somebody to kill somebody, or somehow it can be shown that your encouragement could be construed as some sort of an order, kind of like the mobsters who never pulled the trigger, but they sent out the hits, or Marilyn Manson. I mean, Charles Manson. I said Charles Manson.
Yeah, I even made the comment on that too as well. If Charles Manson is going up, been in jail all these years, and he never killed anybody.
Yeah, he was found guilty of murder by using other people as as tools of murder.
Right.
If that makes any sense. So I would say if his rap lyrics could show that he is that it could be construed as an order to gangs to kill, then yeah, sure, you could put him up for 25 years to life.
Okay, let's see if the producers got this right.
You can get a full clip, my about the bullshit and make this bitch like and lose in this.
Did you get all that? Wait, I like that one part where it went beep 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 beep. Wait, what? So what the beeps part of the song?
It was incorporated. That's the Walmart version.
That's the radio edit. That's the radio version that you will hear. Oh, that's funny. Oh, so we are almost out of time.
Oh, Tom Brady.
Oh, Deflategate. Oh, tune in on our post show.
I don't even care. I think it's. I don't even care about Tom Brady.
We won't even have an outro anymore. We're running out of time.
So we're gonna have to do the show Saturday because the football game's on Sunday.
Well,
or maybe do a Sunday early.
We could do a Saturday show. All right, so tune in Saturday. Do that sound bite of that woman. I love it. That is so funny.
If you can incorporate this.
You can get a full clip.
And that, I mean, you've got the makings of an internet radio sensational
Oh,
show.
we are so going down.
Well, folks, I mean, we tried to jam everything we possibly could into
we
3 hours.
tried.
You know we don't have the time for it, and we're doing it as best as we possibly can.
Yeah.
Don't be a blogger in Saudi Arabia. You'll receive and talk bad about Islam because you'll get 1,000 lashes. There
Look
you
that
go.
one up on your Google, on your Google thingy.
On your Google thing. All right, folks, have a good weekend, a good rest of your week, and we'll be back here giving you all the facts and the breaking news.
That's right.
Bye now.
You can get a full clip, my about the bullshit and make your top disappear like an illusion.